It's crazy. Man said in a roadside bar, son, strap yourself in, try and follow that star.
We're racing at Daytona.
If you're gonna stay up and do it all night long, driving through life like you can't go wrong. Put the pedal down and don't look back. The key to hard living is to do it fast.
Oh, contact and crash and up and over.
Time be the ball of fire at the finish line. Put the pedal down and don't look back. The key to hard living is to do it fast.
After a long off-season, the time has now come for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series to return to competition. Tonight at the iconic Daytona International Speedway, one of the most prestigious racetracks on the circuit. It's going to play host for the season opener, Under the Lights, and we are going to break it all down here on race day. Hey, everybody, I'm Caitlin Vincey, joined by two of my friends, two-time champion in the Truck Series, of course, Todd Bodine, America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds. And, you know, when I see the two of you, I know NASCAR is upon us, which is very exciting because we have so many great storylines in this series this season. What are you most intrigued about as you look towards it?
Man, I can't believe it's Daytona. We're here
can't
racing.
either.
Oh, this is great. I think tonight especially, what a strong field of trucks we have. We had 46 guys attempt to qualify for this race, and they only take 36. So 10 of them had to go home. That made a strong field. And I think that the playing field, the competition level, is as level as I've ever seen it in a truck series. All these guys have really good trucks. They have good bodies. They have good motors. It's a level playing field. We're going to see a great race tonight.
Love the start of a new season because all these drivers and their teams, they rolled into Daytona. It's a clean sheet of paper. Everybody's on equal ground. And you've got all these goals. We want to win a race. We want to make the playoffs. We want to contend for a championship. But tonight it's about one thing, doing something that every driver, every team in all the series wants to do: win at Daytona International Speedway. When you win there, it stays with you the rest of your career.
Oh, yeah. So win at Daytona is what every driver hopes to do. No question about that. And as we've grown accustomed to seeing every offseason, many changes to the Truck Series has happened across the board. Get out your pen and paper. I know you like your notes, Larry. We are going to catch you guys up on new faces and new places for 2021.
A new year brings a new look to the Truck Series, and a familiar face is back on the marquee. KBM gets a complete overhaul as John Hunter Nemechek makes a return to the series in the 4 truck, and Chandler Smith goes full-time in the 18. GMS Racing makes a handful of changes, putting Rafael Lessard in the 24 and Chase Purdy in the 23. With Brett Moffitt's exit from GMS, he's heading to Nice Motorsports in the 45, where he'll be joined by Ryan Truex in the 40 and Carson Hocevar in the 42. The 2021 rookie class is highlighted by the addition of up-and-coming star Hailie Deegan. She's driving the #1 for David Gilliland Racing and is partnered with veteran crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. Timothy Peters is back in a full-time role, this time in the newly created 25 machine for Rackley WAR. And over at Thor Sport, the fleet will have a new look after they parted ways with Ford and rejoined the Toyota family. Phew! Think you can keep all that straight?
I'm not so sure that I can. That's a lot to keep straight. My head hurts already. We just started the show. Okay, so from the changes that we saw, though, Todd, who do you think can make the biggest impact?
Well, I think the guys come in here and make this series different than what we've seen is John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah.
You know, coming to KBM, you know, he was really good before when he drove for his dad. He won races, run up front. But John Hunter went off and he raced some Xfinity Series for a couple of years. Then he went into the Cup Series last year and got some experience there. And we know how hard those steps are, Larry. And the experience he's gained running those series, and especially the Cup Series, I think when he brings that back this year to the trucks, what he's learned and his knowledge, and he goes to a team like KBM, he's going to be a big force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I'm looking at a driver and a team. I'm trying to pull all the layers back and try to connect all the dots with Brett Moffitt going over there to Nice Motorsports. Brett Moffitt, he won the 2018 Series Championship. He was one caution away from winning the championship last year. Go back to 2019 with Nice Motorsports, contending for a championship championship with Ross Chastain. Really not good last year. They lost their alliance with GMS. Maybe now they've put all this together and they've mixed it and stirred it. Maybe they can get this ship righted in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that's what Brett Moffitt is hoping to do. A lot of experience he has, so we know he will be competitive this season. We are going to Daytona, so we might as well look at the drivers in the field who've gotten it done at the famed racetrack. You see the names here. It's a small list. Johnny Sauter, obviously, doing it 3 times. Austin Hill has a victory. So does Timothy Peters. And Grant Enfinger is the defending race winner of this race at Daytona. So let's hear more about one of the drivers on that list. And for that, we do welcome in another member of our broadcast team. And Regan Smith, it's great to see you. You've been running around so busy out at Speed Weeks in Daytona. But Regan, what's the latest you can tell us on Timothy Peters, a veteran returning to the series?
Well, Caitlin, it's great to see you guys as well. And yes, it has been a busy day at the racetrack, but that's a great thing. We love busy days at the racetrack. Timothy Peters, one of the great stories of the offseason, hasn't been full-time in quite some time, since 2016 exactly. The 11-time winner got a phone call right before Thanksgiving. He said the call kind of surprised him a little bit. It was if he wanted to come drive for Rickley War Racing for the full season, or excuse me, WAR Racing for the full season. Very rare that a driver gets a phone call like that. I asked him, I said, Timothy, did you get excited? What happened at that moment? He said, I took a deep breath. I hoped that it would happen, but I wasn't certain. It wasn't official until a little bit later on in the year, or actually in 2021, to be perfectly honest. Found out he would officially be driving this truck for a full season. They got started. They've only had a month to get ready. Earlier today, very concerned about if he was going to be able to make it in on time or not. Fortunately for them, they qualified 10th. He didn't need to be concerned at all. We know Timothy can get it done on the super speedways. Very fast truck. Look for him to have a strong start with this new race team. Exciting to see him back out there.
Thank you, Regan. Great information there. Yes, certainly exciting to see Timothy Peters back in the Camping World Truck Series. But looking here at Johnny Sauter's truck, he's the pole sitter for tonight's race. He's won this race 3 times, but never started from the pole, guys. That's hard to believe. And he's never had a pole in a super speedway anywhere. So already a good day so far for Johnny Sauter. But just ahead, as race day rolls along, we check in with the distinguished gentlemen of Thor Sport. Or are they, when Michael Waltrip gets involved in the conversation? And there's no shortage of attention on the #1 truck tonight as Haley Deegan makes her 2nd series start and first in a truck at Daytona. Later, Jamie Little sits down to talk expectations. That's all next. Taking a look at the 13 truck of Johnny Sauter. Johnny has won this race 3 times, and tonight he is starting on the pole in his number 13 Toyota. Yes, welcome back to Race Day on FS1 as we get you ready for tonight's Camping World Truck Series race out at Daytona. And you could call Johnny Sauter and teammate Matt Crafton the distinguished gentlemen of the Truck Series, as the pair has made over 750 starts between the two of them over the years. But how distinguished are they? Well, Michael Waltrip dialed them up to have a little fun.
Well, hello there. It's Michael Waltrip, and welcome to this FS1 special presentation of Between Two Distinguished Gentlemen. I'm your host, and my guest. How do you get this computer open? There we go. And look, my guests are Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter, and they're right on time. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Matt, could you spell your name, please?
Me?
Yes, please.
Mattcrafton.
Okay, thank you. Matt, you're a family man. How old did you say your grandbaby was?
My son is 5 months old, Mikey.
Oh, your son. I didn't realize.
Keep in mind, Dick Trickle was the Winston Cup Rookie of the Year at the age of 48 years old.
What a great champion he was. Are you thinking about making another run at Rookie of the Year in Cup?
Johnny's past 48.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Can't wait to see you on the racetrack. I'm headed to the beach. Johnny, could I borrow your metal detector? My battery's dead in mine.
Oh, man. What about that plate in your head? Don't you think it'll stick?
Was that necessary, Matt?
No, but don't get your walker stuck in the sand.
Oh, I've had about enough of you fellers. I'll see you later.
Oh.
Somebody should tell him Big Bird called and wants his legs back.
Oh, man, John Johnny Sauter with the best line there about big bird legs, huh?
I have said this many times. Michael Waltrip is the only person I know that can drive in the HOV lane by himself and be perfectly legal. Perfect. There's a lot going on up there. A lot.
Do we use the word distinguished when describing him? I don't know.
I don't know if Michael fits that description for sure. Yeah. And Johnny and Matt, usually they're going at each other, and it was nice to see them get off each other.
Playing nice with each
hammering on
other.
Michael
They were on Zoom. They weren't together.
That's true. That's true.
Playing nice in the Zoom sandbox, that's for sure. Okay, let's talk about Matt Crafton for a moment. Obviously, he's had success at nearly every racetrack in the Truck Series, but not at Daytona. Surprisingly, he's starting 14th for tonight's race. So let's take a look at the numbers he's racked up over the years out at Daytona International Speedway. This will be his 21st start in this race, but as I mentioned, yet to get to victory lane here. His best finish has been 5th twice back in 2010 and 2019. So we always ask, could the third time be the charm? Well, maybe it's the 21st time be the charm, right?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could. But, you know, there's a certain group of drivers when it comes to Daytona or Talladega, you say they always run well there, but something always happened. But, you know, I know Matt wants to win at Daytona, but he is a 3-time series champion. He doesn't have to win anywhere else to define that career right there. I know he wants to win there, but you know what? Think about all the Cup champions and Hall of Famers like Rusty Wallace and active driver, current driver Mark Truex Jr. They've not won at Daytona.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know, I think Matt, when he gets to Daytona and he's driving, getting ready to go into that tunnel, I think there's a monkey up above that tunnel, and when he goes through it, jumps on his back.
Maybe it's a gorilla.
He's got no luck at Daytona. I mean, he should have won one race leading, coming down the back straight when he gets turned over. I mean, come on.
Yeah, not his place, certainly over the years. He's hoping to turn that luck around, though, and potentially get his first Daytona win in the truck in just a bit. Now, let's talk about one of his teammates at ThorSport in the 98 truck. Tonight is going to be driven by Grant Enfinger, but Grant is actually sharing this ride this season at ThorSport with Christian Eckes, but he is the defending winner of the Daytona race, so he's going to be hoping to replicate that tonight. Grant Enfinger, he will start third for the race in just a bit. And if you're not familiar with the name Haley Deegan, you will be this season. The 19-year-old tonight will begin her run for the Truck Series Rookie of the Year honors. Still to come, Jamie Little sits down with Haley to talk about her future. That's next. Welcome back to Race Day here on FS1, getting you set for the big Camping World Truck Series season opener out at Daytona International Speedway. Great look at a beautiful racetrack there. A little over 50 minutes to go until we get the green flag for this race. Now, last season was a banner year for young Sheldon Creed. 5 wins, over 580 laps led, and of course, the title. And one additional perk to winning the championship, well, it gets you a visit with Regan Smith at the pub.
4 drivers, 1 prize. Time to settle it, and here we go.
They are 5 wide going into turn number 1. And here comes Sheldon Creed. Let's go!
Sheldon Creed has won.
We're going to party today.
He's got an X Games gold medal already. Now he's going to add himself a NASCAR championship.
My whole family, we got like 20 camp spots out here, and I'm going to drink some cold beer tonight.
Let's just start the next season the same way with some beer.
Yeah, I love it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When did it actually sink in? When did you say, man, look at what we accomplished this year?
I don't even know if it's fully sunk in, honestly, yet. I try not to get caught up in it too much, but obviously I was really excited when it all went down, and then getting to go and party with the guys in Havasu. I think waking up the last morning, I'm like, wow, this is real, and we did it, so that was pretty cool, and that made the headache a lot better leaving there.
You got a gold medal, silver medal in the Stadium Super Trucks in the X Games there. Where does the Truck Series Championship compare to the off-road gold medals?
I mean, truck championship takes the cake. I feel like it's
good answer.
yeah, right. It's probably the biggest learning curve of my career. Just the last 2 years have been not easy, and I think it's been the first time in my life that I've had to work at something. But yeah, I'm gonna say the truck championship takes the win, and the gold medal's not far behind.
I'm sitting here with you right now, and you're picking the music. What are we listening to right now?
country, old country, 90s country for sure.
So we're getting along really good so far. Yeah. That's right in my wheelhouse. So.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on that.
Dr. Dre, Southern Cal, or maybe Sublime or something like that.
I like a little Sublime every now and then, or Green Day, any of that. Just, I mean, even rap, just prefer country most of the time.
I'm starting a campaign right now. Bring back the hair. That's it. Bring back the mullet. Whatever we want to call it, I'm starting that campaign right now.
If I win in Phoenix, bring it back.
So you said if you win the championship, you're bringing the mullet back. So can we expect you to not cut your hair the rest of this year?
I mean, I'm already growing it out, so I might as well just commit to it here in a few weeks once it's long, right?
I think you got to go for it. Just remember, you're going to get to an age at some point where you can't grow a mullet because you can't grow hair anymore. I'm at that stage, so just take it when you can do it.
I'll bring it back this year. I'll make that promise.
Maybe I'll have a mullet bet with you. Maybe I'll start growing my mullet out.
Hold on, let's make this a good one. Fans choose winner, and that's who buys beer next.
You know what? I like that. That is what we'll do, man.
Cheers.
Great piece there with Regan Smith and our defending champion. You have that same thing with the hair that Regan was talking about, right?
Yeah, I have that big problem in the back, yeah.
In all seriousness, you're a multi-champion in the Truck Series. What does Sheldon need to do to follow up the campaign he had in 2020 to try and get another title?
Well, you know, how do you follow up a 5-win season and
That's what I'm saying.
average finish of 10th and leading all those laps? Well, you have to figure out your weaknesses. And to me, the only weakness I could find is that they stumbled a few times. They had 6 races where they finished 15th or worse. Some of them were wrecks. Some of them was Sheldon's part, getting caught up and stuff. Sometimes they just didn't run well. You have to just figure out how to not let that happen. Other than that, they were strong. They were strong every race, every week, all the different disciplines that we have in the sport, road racing, intermediates, short tracks. He was good everywhere.
Yeah, I sat at home last year, and I think I watched every single lap of every truck race. I knew the name Sheldon Creed, but I didn't know a lot about him. But I do know this. When he went out there and he won that race at Kentucky, it's like they walked over and flipped a switch on the wall because he was fast, to Todd's point, every single week. It didn't matter where they were. He even won that road course at Daytona. But I think the key was when they put him back with crew chief Jeff Stankiewicz. Remember, they won that ARCA championship together, and I see no reason why they can't be at Phoenix trying to go for 2 in a row.
Yeah, to your point, the pairing of Jeff and Sheldon is very strong when it comes to driver and crew chief. Now, we had 4 full-time drivers last year in the series who were under 24 years old that won races, which is definitely making me feel old, okay? Rafael Lessard was the last driver to do it, and he was also the youngest at 19 years old. Zane Smith had 2 wins. The champion, of course, Sheldon Creed. And Ben Rhodes also all under 24. And all 4 of those guys return for a full season this year in trucks. So, speaking of youth, let's bring in another member of our broadcast team with Phil Parsons. He is out at Daytona International Speedway. And Phil, what do you make of this healthy mix of youth versus veterans in this series?
Well, Caitlin, I love it. But first of all, let me say, I miss you guys in the studio. I miss you and Todd. And Larry Mack, thanks for hanging in there. And Caitlin, congratulations. But what a great mix of young drivers versus old drivers. And I think the key is that when these young drivers get here, Sheldon Creed's a perfect example. Won championships in stadium trucks. Comes to ARCA, wins a championship, comes to truck, and he wins a championship in his 2nd full season. These guys are accomplished racers. They know how to race. That's the key. It doesn't matter how old they are. They know how to race.
Yes, they certainly do know how to race. And speaking of that, you and I go back and forth a lot on who gets to do the race pick first. And today is your lucky day, Phil, because you, my friend, are going first. Who do you think gets the victory in Daytona tonight?
Well, I love a lot of the young drivers, and I love some of the older drivers. And I'm going to go with one of the guys that probably is a little bit more towards the older drivers, but he's got a lot going on here. He's a father of a driver. He's a team owner, and he's also going to drive. He's a 2-time pole winner here in the Cup Series at Daytona. His name is David Gillen. His truck is right behind me. This is the guy I picked tonight. Keep an eye on him.
I like it. Very solid pick. We will see how you fare in just a little bit. Phil, thanks so much. Enjoy your time out in Daytona. All right, we are getting set for more race day here as we get you ready for the big truck race in Daytona. There's a look at Hailie Deegan's truck. We're going to hear from Hailie Deegan. She sat down with Jamie Little. That is coming up later here on Race Day. Welcome back to Race Day. Getting a look at the Ford truck of John Hunter Nemechek. He's racing for Kyle Busch Motorsports this season in the Truck Series, and he starts 7th for tonight's race. Now let's talk a little numbers of what John Hunter has done over the years. He had 6 wins in the series, hasn't raced full-time in trucks since 2017, but he has been very, very competitive each year he was in the series, and we are so excited to welcome him back full-time to trucks and also to welcome him in to our Race Day show. John Hunter Nemechek joining us from the track. Great to see you. Thanks for your time as always. And I think my first question obviously for you would be, you were racing in Cup last season. You've decided to make the move back to the Truck Series. What was your motivation, John, for that decision?
To get back to our winning ways. We're here for wins this year. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity that Toyota, Kyle Busch Motorsports, and everyone has presented to me this year. Hopefully we can get our fire alarm services, Toyota Tundra, back in victory lane tonight. It's been a couple years since I've won, so I feel like I've fallen off the radar a little bit. So have to get back into victory lane and put my name back on the map to continue on.
Well, John Hunter, it's great to have you back in the Truck Series, and you're coming back with some class here now. You're coming to the best team, winningest team in the sport, and you're bringing Uncle Eric Phillips, the winningest crew chief, with you. So what are your realistic expectations now? I know you want to win every race, but what's realistically your expectations for the season?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to get a few wins underneath our belt. That is for sure. Hopefully early on, and just continue at that through the year. And then obviously be in the Final Four come Phoenix to run for the championship this year. Our goal is to win as many races as possible and have a shot to go win that championship. And I definitely feel like Kyle and Toyota and everyone at Kyle Busch Motorsports has given us the tools and resources to do so. I feel like everyone at the organization is hungry for wins as well. So we're all in it together. One focus, and that's to go win races and win this championship.
John Hunter, we know anytime your owner Kyle Busch climbs in one of those trucks, he normally celebrates in victory lane, but his full-time drivers the last 2 years, only 2 wins total. In fact, toward the end of 2019, Kyle said, I think my full-time drivers, they're allergic to going to victory lane. I know you're just getting there and you're just getting kind of situated, but where do you think Kyle Busch Motorsports stacks up, for example, against GMS?
Well, I definitely think Kyle is very high up there on the list. As you said, every time Kyle climbs behind the wheel, he's in victory lane, if not a really close to. And last year, Christian Eckes finished second a few times, third, whatnot, was in contention for a couple wins there. Brandon Jones won in this equipment last year. So I feel like the equipment is there compared to GMS. I just think that we have to be able to put a full race together. And like Kyle has said multiple times, he wanted to bring an experienced driver in, kind of like a Matt Crafton type, and hopefully I'm that guy. Hopefully the experience from the Truck Series and Xfinity Series and then running the Cup Series last year, hopefully a lot of that can transfer over, and having Uncle Eric or Eric Phillips with me come back from the Cup Series as well, hopefully that will throw a wrench into the mix and just make the whole program better. We're here to win races. We're here to help our teammates and just do everything that we can as an organization to check off as many wins and have as many trucks in the playoffs to go for that championship come Phoenix at the end of the year.
All right, racing for Kyle Busch, no pressure there. That's no sweat for you. It's great to see you. Best of luck to you tonight as well, John.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
All right, John Hunter Nemechek racing for Kyle Busch. Speaking of him, he's going to be racing in the Daytona 500. The 2021 NASCAR season starts in just 2 days with the Great American Race. The Daytona 500, Sunday only on Fox. Coverage starts on FS1 at 11 a.m. Eastern. And you can get in on the action and win Clint Boyer's money. Who doesn't want to do that? Just download the free-to-play Fox Bet Super 6 app for a chance at $25,000. All you have to do is pick how 6 drivers will finish in the Daytona 500. Pick the finish window for Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Joey Logano. It is free to play, the Fox Bet Super 6. Don't miss out on that. And don't miss this coming up next on Race Day. Haley Deegan, she's getting set for a big Daytona race in the Truck Series. Jamie Little sits down with her. We will hear from the two of them. That's coming up next. Welcome back to NASCAR Race Day, part of Speed Weeks, presented by Advent Health. And we are counting down to the start of the Camping World Truck Series season opener at Daytona. And you're going to see the 21 truck of Zane Smith right there. Zane was last year's Rookie of the Year in the series, earning that title with a pair of wins. But let's look at his numbers in a little more detail from 2020. He did have 2 wins at Michigan and Dover. He finished second, though, in the championship 4. A really impressive feat for a rookie in this series. But Zane, he is a rookie no more. And right now he's standing by with Regan at the racetrack.
Well, Caitlin, it was certainly a breakthrough year or breakout year for Zane Smith. Second place in the championship, 2 wins, 1 position away from a championship last year. How do you go out there and follow that up this year?
I mean, I feel like I've really prepared for this year. I feel like now that I've been to a lot of these places, I just kind of know what to expect, and to be able to work with the same group as I had last year is really important in this sport. So I just can't wait to get this year started, really. I think we could definitely do more than what we did last year. So ready to get going.
All right, in order to get going, you've got to get through Daytona first and foremost. You weren't sure about the speed in this truck. You qualified 8th. It's got a fast race truck for you tonight. So what's the expectations? Do you go out there, try to get the lead, stay up front, or do you maybe ride a little bit?
I'm just going to roll the punches, really. I mean, this place is like no other. So you definitely don't want to leave here trying to dig out of a hole. So we're just hoping for a clean night and hopefully figuring out at the end.
All right, clean night's what he's looking for, Caitlin.
Clean night, always a good thing for sure. I want to go back to talking about rookies, though, for a moment. There are 5 full-time drivers in the race tonight going for Rookie of the Year honors in the series this season. You see the names. Haley Deegan, of course. We'll hear from her in a minute. Chris Wright in the mix. Chandler Smith, who has 9 ARCA wins, will be competing full-time. Chase Purdy with GMS Racing in the hunt, and Carson Hocevar rounds out the group as well. But all eyes are on one of the rookies on that list, and it's Haley Deegan. Here are the reasons why. Well, Haley is no stranger to racing, and her competitive side came out initially on the dirt in a truck. In 2016, she was the Lucas Off-Road Driver of the Year, and then 2 years later, Haley added a little asphalt racing to her resume and got her first ARCA West Series win in February of 2019. She used a last lap pass to win on the dirt in a K&N Pro Series West race, and she showed us some donuts, not too shabby there. In June of that year, she grabbed the 3rd victory of her career at Colorado National Speedway, bumping her teammate Derek Kraus out of the way in overtime. Then later in 2019, she signed a development deal with Ford, and 2020 saw a full-time ARCA Menard Series schedule with DGR. And in October of last year, we learned that she would be making her Truck Series debut at Kansas. She finished 16th, the best finish ever by a female in her debut in the series. So there is so much excitement and anticipation building around Haley Deegan's first full-time foray into one of NASCAR's top series. So how's she preparing for the big year ahead? Our Jamie Little sat down with Deegan in Daytona to find out.
Welcome to Daytona, Haley. It's a new beginning for you. Full-time trucks this year. What are your thoughts and emotions as you prepare?
Man, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I think this year it's going to definitely have its challenges, and I know we're going to have our moments of struggling. It's going to be a learning curve for me, but I think that just going to this year, I want it to be a good learning, developing year, so I have more experience going in the future. There's so much variety with the tracks we're going to. A lot of new tracks that I'm going to that I've never been before. So I think I'm really excited for the Bristol dirt track. That's a new one I'm excited for.
There's so much hype around you. People want to see you just jump up to the cup level right away, but you guys made a strategic plan. Tell me about the plan and how you feel like you are now that you've gone through the ARCA Menard Series too.
Yeah, I think the ARCA Series was great. It taught me a lot, but I think going up into the Truck Series was a smart move for me on my development. I know it's going to be harder. I know we're going to struggle more than we did last year, but that's a risk I'm willing to take because I know it's going to pay off with the learning abilities I'll be able to take away from there.
So let's talk about where all this began, Haley, because your story is so unique. I think the first time I met you, you were 5 weeks old. We were at the Gravity Games. Your dad is out there busting backflips, trying to win gold medals. And just tell me about your upbringing and the time that you remember as a child.
My childhood was crazy, always going to X Games, the Gravity Games, all stuff like that. My dad was in a wild scene, and so it was just cool to be around. It was a cool experience, and I feel like it was its own era. you don't really realize how different you are from other kids and how different my dad was compared to other dads. I have really cool parents, and I'm super thankful for that, and my dad is the reason why I am here today, is because everything he did in the past. It's crazy to see how many fans that he has that has transitioned into my fans now, and all the stories people have and all the stories he tells.
You're growing up and moving out on your own, and how is all that transition for you?
It's been crazy. It's been so much fun. It's a lot of work, especially being on the East Coast, around the whole racing world, running merchandise companies, YouTube channels, stuff like that. There's so many great people involved, and I feel like I have a really good circle this year going into the season with my crew chief, the team, everyone around me.
What sets you apart, and why should people believe that you are the next?
I think when it comes to racing and racers, there's so many different places racers can come from. And I think that coming from off-road racing, it's taught me a lot of different driving styles that you don't get into in the stock car racing world. Different things you feel in the off-road racing side that can't really relate to the stock car racing side if you just came from stock car racing. So I think coming from that certain background and having my family be so involved with it and having a set out path and goals of what I wanted to do, that's really helped me a lot.
What is the end goal now that you're climbing the ranks?
Obviously, I think at any racer, any level that you ask, the end goal is to make it to Cup, which I know it's going to be definitely challenging, but that's my goal. That's my dream right there.
Hard not to have a smile on the face listening to that young lady speak. Very cool look into her life. Great job, Jamie Little, with that piece. I want to talk expectations, though, for a minute.
Whoa. No. We are not even talking about
We're not using that word? That's
of Hailie Deegan. Hey, we know she is a talented race car driver, and she knows, we all know, all the parts and pieces are in place. David Gilliland Racing, the support of Ford, veteran crew chief Mike Hillman Jr., it's all there. But she's 19 years old. She has one Truck Series start. Just let that young lady grow. Let her get some experience. Expectations, run all the laps. If you do that like you did at Kansas, and in my book, she exceeded my expectations at Kansas, you do that week in and week out, that scoreboard will take care of itself.
Yeah, exactly, Larry. I totally agree with what you're saying. I think this young lady's got a lot of talent. You know, last year in the ARCA Series, I paid attention to what she was doing on the racetrack. She had this ability to drive within the car, take what the car gave her, don't take any more, and she stayed out of trouble. And I think that's going to pay dividends down the road for her. But the one thing that worries me is rushing her through the system. You know, don't go 1 year in trucks or even 2 years in trucks, go to Xfinity. Give her 3 years. Let her get her feet underneath her. Same thing Xfinity. Don't rush her through to the Cup Series. You know, we watched this happen one other time with a young lady that came to this sport, and Danica Patrick got rushed right into the Cup Series. Has a lot of talent, had a lot of talent, and she never got her legs under her. She never figured out how to drive these cars. So I hope they just don't rush her through the system.
No question.
Yeah, sounds like taking her time will be key, and her first opportunity will be tonight at Daytona. And speaking of that, Daytona International Speedway and Fox will host thousands of military members and their families over the next 2 weekends. VetTix is a nonprofit organization that specializes in verifying, selecting, and distributing tickets to military members and their families. For more info, go to VetTix.org. And right now you see the truck for our past champion, Brett Moffitt. He's hanging out, getting set for the big race tonight. Starting 15th tonight. Up next, find out who our guys have their eye on for a possible surprise. Welcome back to Race Day. We're getting closer and closer to racing in Daytona. A lot of excitement and anticipation is building out on the grid right now as we get set for this big season opener race. David Gilliland, he's ready to go in Daytona. There's Grant Enfinger, defending winner of this race just a year ago, hoping to replicate that tonight as well. So we are very excited for this race, and I think it's time to do a little sleeper picks, potentially. Guys who might surprise us for the victory. These are not our official race picks, but what are you thinking here, Todd?
Well, my sleeper is definitely a sleeper because he had to take a provisional to get in a race tonight. But Stuart Friesen, you know, after what they went through last year and all the growing pains of starting a new team, by the end of the season, him and his crew chief, Trip Bruce, they got their act together, and they started running really well. So I think tonight Stewie's he's a good driver. He's going to do a good job. He's going to get to the front. He might not have the fastest truck, but I think
Have you not learned anything? You're not allowed to pick him for anything.
I love Stewie. I love
Give
Stewie.
him a
I'm
curse
sorry.
You just will not get off that.
You won't.
No, I'm not gonna.
Well, I've got one eye on Jordan Anderson.
Okay.
You know, that close second place finish last year, and he's got to help a brother out with a wedding coming up in 2022. I also am watching Austin Hill, 6 career wins. His first career win was right there at Daytona. 2019, that Toyota was fast in drafting practice yesterday.
Okay, I like these two.
Stewie was fast, too, in practice.
All right, fair enough. We got a busy slate of action the next couple of days. Let's take a look at it. The Arkham and R Series serves as the opening act on Saturday at Daytona with 200 miles of racing. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Then the track is turned over to the Xfinity Series at 4 p.m. for its season opener. Catch Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart, calling all the race alongside Adam Alexander. And, of course, Sunday, it's the big one, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500 race coverage. It kicks off at 11 Eastern on FS1 and moves over to Fox. And Rafael Lassard, he's going to start 5th. New year, new team. Our winner last time, we raced on a super speedway. We're going to be back with more Race Day next.
Anderson swings outside. It's going to be Enfinger.
Middle, you got it.
What a thrill! Grant Enfinger does it.
Thank you, guys, for this. Man, this is what we needed to do.
Flies are starting to flutter as we're getting ready to go. Racing in Daytona, Tyler Ankrum, he is ready to go, hoping to get a victory out at the World Center of Racing. A little over 15 minutes to go before the big race, guys, and this is going to be exciting. So let's take a look at the first 4 rows for tonight's race. Obviously, as we talked about, Johnny Sauter, he's starting on the pole with Sheldon Creed, our reigning champion, on the outside. What do you guys make of these first 4 rows? Who catches your eye?
Well, I see a lot of experience, especially over there with Johnny Sauter, Grant Enfinger behind him, a couple of winners from Daytona, as we saw earlier in the show.
I like the mix also, Larry. You know, we got these young guys that don't understand what they're doing, and some of the old guys that got some experience. We'll see if they can learn off these old guys.
Once again, we got a nice blend of the veterans and the young guys as well. And as is customary, it's time now for us to go ahead and make some selections for our race picks for the big victory out in Daytona. We already heard Phil's race pick, so I guess maybe I get to go first.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ladies first, right? Okay, Johnny Sauter. That's who I'm going with. I think Johnny Sauter gets it done.
Nothing like stating the obvious, the pole setter, Caitlin. Come on.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to pick Stewart, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take another Toyota driver. I think John Hunter going to KBM with Uncle Eric, they're going to go to victory lane.
Since I'm a guest, can I just have the field? Oh, okay, no. I'm going to go with Austin Hill. Spoke about him earlier. Won here in 2019. And as I mentioned, very, very fast in drafting yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting to see how all those picks fare in just a bit. The season opener for the Camping World Truck Series. It is upon us out in Daytona. Race coverage. It starts now.
There's a first time for everything. First steps, first words.
Say hi.
First love.
She said, can you marry me?
And what did you say?
Yes.
These firsts don't define us, but they do make an impression. Here in Daytona, the trucks are first to the line, setting off on the long road toward their 2021 championship. Time for the season's first moves.
Hang on. He's going to clear him.
First big ones. And most importantly, first to the finish.
What a machine!
You know what they say? If you're not first, you're last. It's the NASCAR Truck Series at Daytona.
Finally, it is time, and what a beautiful sight. There's no place like it. This is Daytona for the season opening race of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, presented by Blue Emu. Tonight begins the title defense for Sheldon Creed. The 23-year-old won 5 times last season en route to his first career championship. His team returns intact. What will Creed do for an encore? Roll out the welcome mat for Haley Deegan. The 19-year-old has risen through the ranks with much publicity and expectation. Tonight, she takes a new step as a full-time rookie in the series. Let's see what awaits her. John Hunter Nemechek has been there, done that. He's a Truck Series veteran who's been to Xfinity and beyond. After a year in Cup, Nemechek joins KBM with a point to prove. He wants to load trophies into his Tundra. And a year ago, it was Grant Enfinger taking home the Daytona Trophy. Tonight, he tries to become just the second driver to win back-to-back. It's a part-time schedule this season for Enfinger, but he's out to prove he's as good as any who buckles in tonight. We're about to get it rolling. Let's hear the command.
Coming to you from the steps of Florida's historic capital, it is a pleasure to welcome NASCAR and its drivers back to the Sunshine State. We honor the rich tradition of racing that started here in Daytona over 70 years ago. And now it is my honor to say, drivers, start your engines.
Oh, love to hear that rumble. We've been waiting on this for a long time, and it is so good to be at Daytona for the season opening race of the 2021 season. And for one driver, well, he's going to experience one of the highlights of his career. He's going to win at Daytona like Jamie McMurray did in 2010. And the team celebrated, and it will be a moment as long as Jamie lives. He'll never forget winning at Daytona, and we're so glad to welcome Jamie McMurray in to our studio and part of our broadcast team tonight, along with another guy who's had some success here at Daytona, Michael Waltrip. Jamie, what was that night like?
Oh, it's something that you'll never forget. And, you know, Vince, it doesn't matter if you come down here for Kart Week, if you're here for Bike Week, the sports cars a few weeks ago, or if you're here this week when NASCAR is in town. There's just no feeling as a race car driver like going to Victory Lane at Daytona.
I've experienced that a couple of times, Vince, and Jamie, you're exactly right. It is so special. And you know what I love? My truck win here, because I was a part-time racer, pretty much retired from the sport, got a chance to drive a really fast truck in the race, and was able to make the move coming off the last turn on the last lap. My spoiler was breaking off. A normal man would have crashed that truck, but somehow I was able to hold on and get to Victory Lane. Another guy who thought Victory Lane was just out his windshield. Look at Matt Crafton, no one ahead of him. Coming off turn 2 on the last lap, he gets spun and flips through the air. Look how that car looks like, that truck looks like it's just a toy truck flying through the air. He was able to get out of that wreck without being hurt, but his chance of winning Daytona, despite the fact that he saw nothing ahead of him heading toward that checkered flag, went away. And that's what it's all about, Vince. We're not going to know who's going to win this race tonight until those trucks barrel off turn 4 and get to this start-finish line. That's why Daytona is so exciting, and that's why it's so special when you're able to win.
Yeah, we saw last year what a thrilling finish it was a year ago. We expect more of the same tonight. Regan Smith joins us from downstairs. I think maybe Regan was going underneath Matt Crafton when he was flipping through the air in that highlight. Hello,
I was
Regan.
going underneath him, Vince, and very thankful that it wasn't any worse than what it was. Speaking of trucks going through the air and having a lot of fun tonight, the guy behind me, his truck, Todd Gilliland, very much looking forward to this season. A year of change last year for him, moving over from Kyle Busch Motorsports to Front Row Motorsports in their truck. This season, everything is the same. He's got the same team, the same crew. Everything is familiar this year. He is very much looking forward to this season, getting that consistency. That's the biggest goal, have that consistency, so when the opportunities present themselves to win, they don't have to put the pressure on. Jamie?
Well, Regan, there are a few familiar faces in new places for this season. One of them is the 2018 Camping World Trucks champion, Brett Moffitt. He's left GMS Racing. He is now in the number 45 Nice Motorsports Chevrolet, and that transition, he said, has not only been easy, but has also relifted his spirits both on and off the racetrack. Another one of note, Rafael Lessard, no longer with Kyle Busch Motorsports. He's now driving the number 24 GMS Chevrolet, and while it's a new manufacturer for him, he has a new crew chief, he has a new spotter. He says despite all of that, he already feels like part of the family, and he qualified within the top 5, Vince.
Well, there's a lot of folks excited about where they are tonight, whether you're a driver or a member of a team or a member of the broadcast crew. We couldn't be happier to be at Daytona. We're getting ready for the season opener of the Camping World Trucks. celebrated that championship a year ago, and as we get ready for the 27th season, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season opener from Daytona. And we talked about how special this racetrack is, Mike, and the Camping World track description doesn't do it justice.
Those numbers all mean a lot to engineers, but as racers, you just come here to try to get a victory at the most prestigious track in all of NASCAR. 2.5 miles in length. You can see the front straightaway, 3,800 feet, back 3,000. Those banks, 31 degrees of banking. That's why we're going to see 3-wide truck racing here tonight.
And our race analysis.
Yeah, you see it there. It's a 100-lap race, 250 miles. Pretty short stages, 20, 20, and then 60. Got about a 30 to 35-lap pit window.
Our Camping World starting lineup will be led by Johnny Sauter, who won the pole earlier today in qualifying, and starting alongside Johnny on the front row, last year's season champ Sheldon Creed, and Sauter's teammate Grant Enfinger will start in the second row.
Chase Purdy's going to see things he's never thought of seeing before. Rafael Lessard, very fast on the big tracks. Chandler Smith, really good in practice earlier today.
John Hunter Nemechek and Zane Smith back in row 4. Excited about both of those drivers this season. And there's Haley Deegan. A lot of folks with their eye on her and what she will do as a rookie in the Camping World Truck Series. Carson Hocevar will run for Rookie of the Year as well. There's the 3-time series champ Matt Crafton, and don't sleep on David Gilliland tonight back there in row 7 as well. Brett Moffitt, the 2018 champ. Jinjo Cobb with a good qualifying run today.
Yeah, that's a sporty looking truck. She'll take her way to the front. Drew Dollar and Austin Hill. Austin's won here before.
Jamie, you want to try to dial up Haley Deegan?
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Hey, Haley, it's Jamie Mack up in the FS1 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
All right, well, I know we're coming to the green, but you qualified well, and I heard you say your truck handled well yesterday. Just tell us what your strategy is today between your crew chief and your spotter. What have you guys worked out?
I think it's just being smart, running a clean race, trying to stay out of the wrecks.
Well, staying out of the wrecks is key. We're gonna enjoy getting to watch you, so good luck tonight.
Thank you, guys.
How cool is that? Coming to the green, we were able to chat with Haley Deegan. She sounded as cool as ever. Let's go on board. I talked about Austin Hill winning here at Daytona. He's starting back in the 18th position, Vince. This is going to be the storm, the eye of the storm. What does he do? Does he charge forward or does he roll back? And this is the best camera in America. Check it out. It's on this visor. We're going to see what it looks like from Austin Hill's eyes as he does battle here at Daytona. We're going to go on board with Grant Enfinger. You know what he did here last year, Vince?
He won.
He won. Fox Sports, we just ride with winners. Grant Enfinger has a great starting position. He's up in third. I know he'll try to control the race from the front, not get back in that hornet's nest like we see Austin Hill starting in.
Lined up and ready to go. Racing at Daytona for the Truck Series every year since 2000. This is the 22nd edition. So glad to be here with you tonight for the season opener for the Camping World Truck Series 2021 campaign, the first of 22 races.
This is when the nerves are really at their peak, Vince, coming down for this green flag.
Pace vehicle is off. Johnny Sauter on the pole. 4 drivers have won from the pole, none since Kaz Grala in 2017. Let's see if Sauter can get it done. We're racing at Daytona. And we've got contact already. Didn't even get to the start-finish line before some vehicles got tangled up, including, oh, what a heartbreaker for the 44. They had so much expectation tonight. James Busher.
He started last, Vince, and yet wasn't able to. I'm sure things just sort of stacked up. Somebody might have missed a shift, but you can't see through other trucks that well, so anything that happened up ahead of him caused a backup, and man, he must have been hard on the gas.
Well, he was so excited about this race tonight. First time in a super speedway since 2015, and that is big damage. This is how it happened. All the way in the back.
Yeah, there's that Tanner Gray in the 15. You can see he didn't go. Or is that
Derek Kraus, the 19, I think, is involved in that as well. Something with the 15 having an initial problem. Tanner Gray didn't get going.
And, you know, there's just no way for those drivers to see through the other trucks. Joe Cobb on the bottom does a nice job. You really rely on your spotter to let you know what's going on these starts. And when you have a problem like Tanner did, Jamie, that just makes it really difficult for those other guys to get through.
Yeah, and if you think back to qualifying, James Busher was penalized for going below the yellow line on the backstretch, trying to get a little draft off the truck in front of him, and that's now caused him to be involved in this wreck because he had to start in the back. So super frustrating day. Gus Dean with a 56 truck with front end damage.
Vince, I think we can get that to the pit, put a little tape on it, and Gus can still get in the draft and hang on, I bet.
You know, we talk about everybody wanting to be patient and who's going to be aggressive. It's so tough when you're coming to the green like that.
Let's reset it. Going to have to do it again here at Daytona. Clint Boyer's money. Who doesn't want some of that, huh? It's the Fox Bet Super 6 app, and it's easy. Just download the app and pick the finishing position of 6 drivers. You got to do it by Sunday at 2:30 Eastern for your shot to win. It's free to play. Don't miss out. Play now. Fox Bet Super 6. Well, under caution because of this incident. It looked like Tanner Gray in the 15 had some sort of an issue, and they ended up getting stacked up behind him. As you see, the 19 of Derek Kraus, the 56 of Gus Dean, and ultimately the 44 of James Busher.
That's a hard one to figure, Vince. And Jamie, what do you see there? The wreck was well behind when Gray had problems, and most of the trucks around him got by. You'd think they would have had issues.
Yeah, and we got a report that Tanner knew he had an issue coming to the green and was kind of hoping they could, get to a caution to address that. It just seems like he didn't go, and Michael, everybody is antsy on the start, right? Who's expecting to wreck before you get to the start-finish line? And when they all start checking up, there was just nowhere for him to go. It's incredible the damage though on James Busher's truck, before we even got to the green flag.
Talked about Gus Dean getting a little tape. I believe he's going to need more than that.
I'm going to let you have that one. I don't want to drive that one.
Something's under there is dragging, so the team will have to do more work. Regan, what's happening on pit road? That was a crazy start.
Well, that was a crazy start indeed, Michael. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that this race in general, one of my favorite things about it is the mix of youth and experience that we have. Look at what the front row and the front part of this grid was. We had Johnny Sauter, Sheldon Creed, Grant Effinger, and then the rookies, 4 rookies in the top 12, Chase Purdy, Haley Deegan, Carson Hosever. Just so much of a mix that makes this race exciting. And you know what? I can't ever tell you which is actually going to win this race. It seems like it's a little bit of both. So that's going to be fun to watch as it plays out later on tonight. Jamie?
Well, Regan, it's that mix of experience combined with it being the start of the season that results in this historical number. So 21 of the previous Camping World Truck races here, there's been a caution in the final 20 laps, and in the last 14 years, there have been double-digit retirements. So if you're one of the 36 drivers that started this race, how do you avoid that? Well, for our pole sitter, Johnny Sauter, he said it's simple. I just have to stay out front. But he said in all seriousness, ultimately what it comes down to is patience, and that is not a skill that is easy to come by.
Well, and typically race car drivers aren't the most patient bunch, but certainly if you end up being a terrific super speedway racer, you have to learn that skill of patience.
Yeah, there's times to press, and there's time when you have to just assess the situation and make a judgment call on which way to go. Do I have the right truck to be charging forward now, or do I need to lay back, wait for an adjustment? How do I play this out?
Yeah, I totally agree. But, as we look at this, we talked about the stages. There are only 20 laps, these first 2. We're at 14 to go when we come to the green. So I don't predict there'll be a lot of patience before we get to the end of this one.
Yeah, this is a sprint. Of course, this is race number 1 of the season, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to go to some new venues during this 2021 season. Bristol on the dirt.
I love that.
That's going to draw a lot of interest, maybe even from some Cup guys coming to try out the truck.
How cool does that look?
Going to Coda. Nashville, the return. Everyone looking forward to going back to the Music City. And speaking of great dirt tracks, one of the greatest, Knoxville Raceway. And back to Watkins Glen for the first time since 2000. One of my favorite venues. All right, Regan, Derek Kraus in that 19. What's the word on any issues they've suffered?
Well, Vince, they took a pretty significant hit to the right rear of that truck. Very calm, cool, and collected on pit road. Crew Chief Matt Noyce talking the team through exactly how he wanted to fix it. Explain, make sure we get this whole thing clearanced on the right side of the truck so that we can continue to work on it the rest of the night. They just don't want any flat tires right now from a fender rubbing or something like that, as they have a long race ahead that they can continue to try and repair that truck. Very, very calm, cool, and coordinated down here.
Well, and with some damage at some racetracks, damage puts you out of the hunt. Here,
you can hide behind a truck, Vince. You can make the air not see how messed up your truck is. Might be really hard to think you could get to victory lane with a truck that is torn up, but you could certainly push to second.
James Busher evaluated and released from the infield care center. That's good news. And heartbreaker for James. I know he was really looking forward to the opportunity to run this one tonight.
Ready to try it again, Vince?
Re-racked and going to do it again with Sauter on the inside and Sheldon Creed on the outside. Let's see if we can do it a little cleaner this time. The green back out. ThorSport teammates at the point was Sauter and his teammate in the 98 truck, Grant Infinger, right behind him.
We saw John Hunter Nemechek get in the back with the truck ahead of him, Chase Purdy, and that got that truck really out of shape. What are we going to see as these guys push? That was Lassard in the 24, excuse me.
The outside line headed up by Sheldon Creed.
You know, one of the things that we saw last night is that bottom lane, Michael, seems to be preferred, and it's because it can stay a little bit more organized, and guys are able to run wide open around the bottom when the tires are a little fresher. When you get to that outside lane, you always have somebody towards the back of that want to make it 3 wide, and it just slows the momentum down of the outside.
You know, and Jamie, we saw in practice, these trucks look pretty stable. But I talked to Brett Moffitt. They have a different side skirt on the left side, which gives them a little bit more downforce. But he said it also makes side drafting more important. And these guys, a lot of them don't have a lot of experience. And when you start side drafting, that's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
So as these guys race side by side and start bump drafting, that's when you're going to see problems. And you can see they're already
they don't look real stable from my perspective. It looks to me like they're dancing around quite a bit.
Riding with Haley Deegan, 5th in line on the inside.
Now, if I'm Haley Deegan, I'm content. I don't want to bump draft.
See them all moving and everything. You look straight. That's great.
I don't want to bump draft yet, Jamie. I just want to play with the gas.
Are tight out in front of you there. They're tight. You can roll up to them a little bit if you want. Still tight in front of you. You can still cut that gap you got in front of you by about half if you want. They're tight. Still tight. Still tight. I'm going to check up a little bit up here. Still tight. You can keep coming.
So, incredible information. And Haley Deegan's really fortunate because she has TJ Majors, who spots for Joey Logano, and he's probably the best spotter at this type of racing. And that information he was giving her, he was actually telling her what the truck in front of her, how close they were to the truck in front of them, because if there's a gap on the truck in front of you, you can push them up to that. But it's really hard, Michael, to see when you're from her perspective. So she's totally dependent on him to tell her how much she can push, and she's going to be able to learn a ton from TJ on what decisions to make, because his perspective is going to be a little bit different than hers.
TJ Majors, of course, had such great super speedway success as the spotter for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And this, Jamie, is just what you're talking about. This is all that Austin Hill can see. He can see the back of the truck in front of him, and then over to the left, he's on the high side. If you're Haley Deegan, you can only see what's up to the left. It's really difficult, and you rely on your spotter to give you that direction.
Yeah, and if you watch, Austin will kind of peek out to the left just a little bit, and that not only puts some clean air on the nose, which makes the truck handle a little bit better, but it also gives you where you can see around and see what the truck in front of you, where they're at in relation to who they're pushing.
On the outside line, that 2 truck, the white truck with the black numbers, Sheldon Creed. And right behind him, the 23 of Chase Purdy. That's his good friend and teammate out of the GMS stable. And the first 2 in line on the inside are ThorSport teammates, Johnny Sauter and Grant Infinger.
That's his 21 Well, Zane Smith out of the draft onto the apron. Is there a problem with the 21, or is he just falling back because he didn't like what he saw? That's an option. We've seen the veteran Matt Crafton. He's about 6th or 7th in the line, outside line. He's decided to charge. It looked like maybe Zane Smith said, I don't like what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I like the strategy there if you want to go to the back, Michael. But if you're going to go to the back, you need to get 5 seconds behind the pack, because just riding a second behind them, you can still get caught up in the wreck. It's too hard to get slowed down.
Let's go downstairs to Regan.
Because I think that was a little bit of protecting the truck, but also it's very loose in and very loose off for Zane Smith right now. He's just not comfortable with that truck.
Well, and the draft makes that condition even worse. The trucks will be more unstable in that pack, so getting that gap back to where they did will help that condition.
Back on board with Austin Hill, last year's regular season champ.
It honestly looks like tonight both lanes are pretty even, Michael.
After an early caution, we're halfway through stage 1 and then some. Johnny Sauter continues to lead. Welcome back to Camping World Truck Series Racing from Daytona here on FS1. And what a great view, aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Drive always, discover possibility. Goodyear, more driven.
These cats are relying on those Goodyears right now. Jamie, they've gotten a little heat in them. What did you notice racing last night as the tires did get warmer?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the tire last night. I didn't feel like the handling went away as much as I remembered in the past. It honestly seems like at the beginning of a run, the truck is a little tight, doesn't want to turn. Then it goes through a transition of turning good, and then it built a little bit looser as the run went on until maybe the very end. And it seems like the air pressure just builds up and you lose a little bit of grip. But I thought they actually hung on really well. I would expect to see, 2 tires or fuel only on some of these stops.
There's the 4 of John Hunter Nemechek back in the series after a bit of time away. How are they rolling, Jamie?
Well, it was the much-anticipated debut of John Hunter Nemechek with Kyle Busch Motorsports, and with the newness comes some new people. One of those is spotter Tony Hirschman, and he's taken the opportunity over the course of the pace laps to figure out the distancing. He would change up his distance from one truck to the other and say, what would you call this? Would it be a 1 truck? Would it be half a truck? Just so they made sure they had the vernacular right between the 2 of them. But now his spotter is reminding him not to lock bumpers. But John Hunter says this truck sucks up better than any truck I've ever had.
Isn't new love grand? You get a new truck.
It's a honeymoon, Michael.
It is, and he is so happy
right now.
She mentioned Tony Hirschman, spotter for Kyle Busch in the Cup Series. These drivers have some of the best up on the roof, helping them get through this race here at Daytona. And you've noticed out front is Rafael Lassard. He had been 3rd in line on the inside. He jumped to the outside, hooked up with his teammates Creed and Purdy, and then they got back down to the inside, and they run 1, 2, 3. Lassard led only the final lap in his Talladega win last year, and he's got to be awfully pleased about the view he has in front of him now. Just a couple of laps left in stage 1, so pit road is closed.
Well, he built so much confidence after Talladega. He was up front all day long. He got the victory, and when he comes to Daytona, he says, I know what I'm doing on these super speedways, and he's proven it with where he's put that truck tonight.
As we're coming to 2 to go in the stage, like this is a critical point where you're not going to be as aggressive as you are at the end. But this is where you're trying to set up, like, what am I going to do if I'm in this position at the end? When can I pull out and make my move? And you're willing to take a chance here, even if it doesn't work out, so that you don't do that later on in the race.
You can see some moves there.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter has his teammate Grant Enfinger right behind him. You see they're trying to get to the outside.
They're thinking championship right now, Jamie. They want to get those stage points. Yeah. They know how valuable 1 point can be, so they got a chance. They're taking it.
He better.
Well, he did finger going to the inside, left his teammate Sauter, and now Rhodes trying to pick up Sauter. That's Rhodes just on the inside of the 13 and the 99.
That wasn't really Johnny's fault.
No, and Grant with him when he needed to, and then it just, the big run came and he had to do what was best for him.
In stage 1, has 1 lap remaining.
And this is crazy. Look at these guys pushing and shoving. Hope they make it back.
Lassard out front, Infinger in second, and then it's Nemechek and Creed side by side for third.
It's going to be a big push on the outside lane. Look at Johnny Sauter up to Creed with pushing back help from behind.
Who's going to get that first playoff point with a stage win? Lassard trying to hold off the pack behind him.
Oh, it looked like Sheldon got a little bit loose there.
Way loose.
Here comes Lassard through the tri-oval. The teenager from Canada gets stage one at Daytona.
Whew. Are you sweating?
I am, profusely. Watch the 2 here off turn 4 with this push from Sauter. Look at those hands. What a save.
About, what, 100?
Great save.
90? Yeah, I was going to say, ish, right around in there somewhere, 190 mile an hour.
That's incredible.
Wow. Getting after it. And Rafael Lassard, the first to draw blood. He wins stage 1, his first stage win in trucks.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Camping World Truck Series racing from Daytona on FS1. Presented by Blue Emu. And the Fox drone giving you some unique perspective here at Daytona. Love the technology. We're able to bring you some of the great aerial views. How about some radio from Johnny Sauter?
That's the that pisses me off right there, man. We make a move so that they can go with us, and then they hang us the first chance they get. At 10-4, we had meetings about all this too.
Well, in
communication between Sauter and his spotter.
Yeah, I think in his defense, Grant, it all fell apart. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's what's frustrating is that when Johnny moved out, Grant went with him into turn 1. When they got halfway down the backstretch, he just didn't stay as committed. And it's frustrating when it doesn't work out for you. And the thing is, in these races, it's about building, relationships. And if Grant stays committed to him coming to the stage there, then if the roles are reversed, Johnny will probably stay more committed to Grant. But based on that radio conversation, I don't think Johnny's going to be very committed to Grant later in the race.
Sauter led 12 laps in that first stage, becoming the all-time lap leader at Daytona in the Camping World Truck Series, passing our friend Todd Bodine.
I won't be too happy about that.
Getting ready for pit stops, led by Rafael Lassard, the stage 1 winner, followed by Sheldon Creed, Grant Infinger. Jamie Howe.
As Johnny Sauter brings it into a stop, there wasn't a lot of communication as far as what changes he wanted. This will be a fuel stop. They are going to make an adjustment there in the rear as Johnny Sauter sends it back out, still fuming, and then Rafael Lassard came in. It looks like he was beat off of pit road. Fuel only for him, Regan.
Well, Grant Infinger's been on the splitter, wanted to get off that just a little bit. The 2 truck of Sheldon Creed really loose, needs an adjustment on that truck to keep it back in the racetrack.
Watch it.
There it is.
Couldn't tell if they actually made contact or not, but it was so close. The 0-2 is Chris Wright, the rookie, making his first start here at Daytona.
You got to be aware when you're running in the back that trucks are going to be leaving their pits.
I totally agree with that. It's always the person coming in. I would put more fault on them than the guy exiting right there.
Derek Kraus in that 19 truck.
That right side's taking a beating today, Michael.
It's been an adventurous start to the race for Derek.
He's saying, will you people stop running into me? Work being done on pit road at Daytona.
I think I'd like to go experience that once.
Yeah, that
a few days
like
of fishing with those guys. I think it'd be great.
I caught a fish out of that lake they just showed.
All right, now here's what we were listening to in regards to the radio of Johnny Sauter's team, upset that Grant Infinger, his teammate, didn't stay with him.
Break it down, Jamie. What do you see?
If you look, John Hunter Nemechek gets to Grant Infinger's bumper. They are going to generate a huge run right here. I think Grant thinks, that John Hunter's pushing him, and Michael, he would have had to have checked up quite a bit to get to Johnny Sauter's bumper, and if he does that and lets off too much, he could get spun by John Hunter. So I feel like if you could go back and watch this, as upset as Tab Boyd, Johnny Sauter's spotter, that is a tongue twister for me, was at that. I think when you look at that scenario, it's just a racing deal, and I don't think that was a bad decision.
You see Sheldon, excuse me, Michael, you see Sheldon Creed has come on to pit road and back out. Had a penalty for too fast on pit road.
And something happened to Matt Crafton on pit road, too. You can see a lot of damage to the left front, Jamie. What did the team report?
Well, I did just check in with them, and they sent the truck back out there. They did make it out before the pack so that they didn't lose another lap, but he said it was contact on pit lane. They had contact with the number 25 of Timothy Peters, and it looks like Matt Crafton got the worst of it.
We were working those pit reporters out tonight. Jamie, I was almost out of breath right there. We made her run down and find out what happened.
So, and we're told that the 88 of Crafton is also being penalized for pitting outside the box, so he's going to come back.
That's a lap penalty,
yes.
So he'll have to go to pit road.
Yep.
Well, we're formed up to go again, and
well, I tell you what, it's been an eventful race, and we just went through one stage.
Look who's behind Grant Infinger. This will be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's Junior Joyner, the crew chief for Matt Crafton. Obviously, he does not feel as though his driver pitted outside the box. Arguing his case.
I'm sure there were a few beeps used during that.
We need a heart rate monitor on him right now.
No, we don't. I think he would tilt.
Pace truck is off, and you see John Hunter Nemechek on the inside and Grant Infinger on the outside. This is stage 2, Camping World Truck Series at Daytona.
And just remember, Vince, that's not a death sentence for Matt Crafton. I mean, there's going to be stage breaks. There's going to be a lot of action. Crafton will get back in this game.
Interesting, you know, we heard Sauter's team very upset with Grant Infinger. Now it's Sauter behind Infinger.
I think if I was Sauter's spotter and Infinger, I'd say that isn't one of them racing deals. That you got to put that behind you and make sure you focus on the rest of the race.
Oh, and this lap penalty for Crafton has got to seem like forever as you sit and wait for the trucks to come back around. Early laps of stage 2.
Be interesting to see if that penalty that Sheldon Creed brought upon himself by speeding on pit lane gets him in trouble. He was out front, now he's back in the pack.
Riding with Infinger.
Well, it didn't take Johnny Sauter long to say, okay.
Pay that back, yeah.
Sorry about that there, Grant. You shouldn't have put me in that position. That's the payback right there.
Well, and that's what we talked about. It's about building those relationships. And if if Grant could have stuck with him, Michael, then Johnny would have stuck with him there. And it just becomes so frustrating when you're out there on the track.
Regan on Infinger.
Well, Vince, coming to the green right there, the 98 and Grant Infinger, they were trying to talk to the 13 team and communicate and patch things over. The 13 team, though, they wanted nothing to do with it. And you see the end result now. Grant's at the back of the pack because of it.
Teammates are supposed to get along.
Well, the good news is I bet Johnny feels better right now.
I'm sure he'll forget all about it by the time the race is over.
And the bad news is the team owner's thinking, we're falling to pieces here. We got to get this back together somehow.
Speaking of getting it back, how about Sheldon Creed after that speeding penalty? He is on the move on the outside.
This is some good racing. 2, 3 wide, a lot of comers and goers.
Chandler Smith, the rookie in the 18 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports, just ahead of that 2 of Creed.
And the 1 truck of Haley Deegan on the bottom, tucked right in, just learning lap after lap. Everything she sees is new, and she's doing a great job running inside the top 10 all race long.
John Hunter Nemechek leads this lap. And this is why he came to the Camping World Truck Series. He wanted to run up front, put himself in position to win races. And I think we're going to be talking about him at the front a lot this season.
It's an interesting line John Hunter's running there. He ran really high through 1 and 2 and then pulled it all the way back down to the bottom down the backstretch.
Nemechek with Eric Phillips as his crew chief. Phillips came from Denny Hamlin's Cup team, was the car chief there. last year. Downstairs, Jamie.
All that experience that Eric Phillips brings with him has really motivated John Hunter Nemechek also. He said coming back to the Truck Series, he's had a change in attitude as far as racing he goes. He says, I have to be more calculated. But he's also had some personal changes as well. He's married now to his wife, Taylor. They have a daughter on the way in 6 weeks. And he says that personal growth, it makes him better behind the wheel as well. And he's learned to just enjoy the process.
Well, he has a lot of experience for a driver who's just 23 years old.
He does, and I think anytime, we have seen drivers go to the Cup Series and then come back, they always seem to be tremendously successful when they come to a lower series, because it's just it's a different level of talent and drivers in this. And John Hunter, even though he wasn't in a top-tier team, he learned a lot being in the Cup Series last year.
Talk about an aggressive driver, Ben Rhodes. He's that, isn't he? He's all over the tailgate of our leader, John Hunter Nemechek, in that 99 truck with his teammate Johnny Sauter just behind him.
I was going to say, in those top three between Nemechek, Rhodes, and Sauter, they don't need much of an opportunity before they will jump on it. Chandler Smith, the rookie for KBM, right there as well in the 18, and there we get a good look at Haley Deegan in the 1, she follows Timothy Peters. That's Peters in the 25, just ahead of her.
Yeah, looked like she got just a little loose and kind of got that left front on the apron. It's a good save right there by her.
And if there was someone right beside her, that's what starts a wreck. So she was fortunate that the outside lane was higher.
Gave her a little room.
And that's how your truck starts handling poorly. You've got the wheel cut. It doesn't turn. You talked about the air buildup. It doesn't turn. Maybe you clip the apron, and then she's sideways.
John Hunter Nemechek out front. The season opener of the Camping World Truck Series at Daytona. Back under caution at Daytona. It's been a tough night for Derek Kraus already.
He's got
contact a couple of times.
Shockwave on his truck. It's been a series of shocking events for this team.
Got some contact on track on the first lap of the race, then some contact on pit road.
Look at that view. That's a great camera shot.
He's drifting and mowing the grass.
That left rear tire was cut down.
This is how it began. Watch Derek Kraus.
See the 19 truck on the right, outside, middle of the screen. There it goes, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
you see it already starting to wiggle, and he knows that. It makes a great save right here not to get into the outside wall, and also everyone else did a great job around him not to get into him.
That's David Gilliland that avoided Kraus.
When you have an experienced driver like Gilliland that needs to make the right move, he's going to make the right decisions. Locking up the brakes or anything that you do suddenly would have caused even more problems. Gilliland just coolly maneuvered his way right past. Do we pit? I don't think we do.
The 88 of Matt Crafton getting the free pass, so he'll get that lap back after serving that penalty.
The leaders stay because of those stage points that are ahead, but some of those guys on the borderline of top 10, including Haley Deegan, all come to pit road.
Yeah. Tyler Ankrum behind her as well. So there's Haley Deegan first in line.
And I'm interested to see who gets tires. Deegan's going for tires.
Yeah, we saw everybody get fuel only on the last stop. So they're probably going to get 4 here, and this is going to be it, Michael. It'll just be fuel only when they stop again.
I'm glad to see tires going on Deegan's truck. That thing started to get a little bit
Her
loose.
handling looked like it was going away as the air pressure built up, the grip going away.
Problem on that right front from Haley's crew, trying to get that tire off.
See an issue on Grant Infinger's truck as well.
Going to be a quick sprint to the green and white checkers, and in stage 2 we'll take a quick break and come back to see it. Back at Daytona, the late laps of stage 2, you see 17 of 20 completed under caution after Derek Kraus cut down a tire and spun through the infield grass. Some came to pit road, some elected not to. John Hunter Nemechek Ben Rhodes, Johnny Sauter, Chandler Smith, Rafael Lessard all staying out.
Chris Wright, we saw him with trouble on pit road. He's coming back, and here comes the man that's been the highlight reel so far, Kraus.
For as much as he's been through, it doesn't look that bad.
I agree. This is going to be exciting, I'd say, Vince.
It's going to be a mad sprint for those stage points and that stage win.
On the last restart, Johnny Sauter was a great pusher, so I like the fact that John Hunter has taken the bottom with Sauter lining up behind him, because Sauter seemed like he was really aggressive and was able to push who was in front of him.
Matt Crafton got the free pass and is around. We've got a mess of a fender. We'll get that tidied up on this stage break, I believe, but that puts him back on the lead lap.
And a couple of slow pit stops during this sequence, including Infinger in the 98. Keep an eye on the jack band.
Yeah, he was up in the top 5 when they pitted and all the way back outside the top 15 now. You see the jack falls there.
Yeah, well, he was pumping it. It just wasn't going up. It looked like he just tried to reset it or something there.
They don't want you getting that shot. They don't
want
you seeing
to look at it, apparently.
Yep. Matt Crafton, by the way, has come around and has not yet caught the tail end of the field, but will before we take the green.
He'll just cruise to the stage break, Vince. Try to tape up that bright yellow number 88. Get back into the game. Told you he'd be back in the game.
Coming to the green to end stage 2 after a 1-lap sprint to the finish. When they come to the line, it'll be lap 19, and they go 20, as you see on the board, with Nemechek, Rhodes, Sauter, Smith, Peters in the top 5. Sauter's led 12 laps tonight. Lessard has led 12. Nemechek has led 10.
Teammates on the front 2 rows, but they're not lined up properly.
Nemechek on the inside and Ben Rhodes on the outside.
Chandler Smith with a nice push into the back of the 99 of Ben Rhodes, and here he comes.
Trying to get down in front of John Hunter right there, I think.
He's going to do it.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get there.
John Hunter's going to have a big run here off the nose of Johnny Sauter. Does he flip to the outside?
Yeah, I don't think I would, because they're teammates. I feel like Johnny Sauter would stay committed to Ben Rhodes in front of him. I think that was a good decision by John Hunter. Maybe try to pull out late here, coming to the end of the stage.
Yeah, that outside line breaking up all the momentum on the inside. Ben Rhodes through the tri-oval. There will be 1 lap to go in stage 2.
Man, that don't get your heart pumping. Nothing will. Look at all that pushing and shoving.
Lessard won stage 1. Rhodes trying to keep the pack behind him to win stage 2.
Pretty big run coming on the outside, Jamie.
Jumps to the outside to try to catch Chandler Smith, and a little momentum from the 18 truck.
See, Johnny Sauter's going to get a little bit of a run with John Hunter. John Hunter's going to pull out. I think it's a great move. Johnny Sauter's, he's going to go with John Hunter instead of going with his teammate.
And John Hunter Nemechek wins stage 2.
Man,
I think that's interesting. Why did Johnny Sauter not go with his teammate right there?
That's a good question.
I'm just saying, I mean, he got mad earlier that his teammate didn't go with him, and then he did the same thing right there.
He had a perfect opportunity to shove his teammate. Watch this. You see the 13 is the 3rd truck in line. Outside, Nemechek goes, and
he kind of went with him, and then he didn't. I don't know. Like, I
think if I'm team owner Duke Thorson, I'm on the radio saying, boys, I got a lot invested in this.
And I think, you know, I'm not being critical of Johnny in that, because you have to make a split-second decision, and you want to do what's best for you.
John Hunter Nemechek, Stage 2 winner. 2 stages down, 1 to go. Who's going to be the big winner tonight at Daytona?
She just might not have went.
Welcome back to Camping World Truck Series racing from Daytona on FS1. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. For those that push the limits of possibility, Goodyear, more driven. John Hunter Nemechek, your Stage 2 winner. Rafael Lessard, who won Stage 1 right there. Along with Johnny Sauter, Sheldon Creed, Ben Rhodes.
How about Timothy Peters? Finished in the top 10 of that stage with us again. Glad to have Timothy back in the series.
First time since 2016, former winner here at Daytona. And I will second that. Always great to have Timothy, good racer. There's Chase Purdy.
Got some rear end issues there, it looks like.
That's unfortunate. He has been up toward the front much of the night.
It looked like they felt like maybe they solved the problem, whatever it was.
You know, guys, looking back to the end of that stage and just thinking towards the end of the race, being the leader is not the truck that you wanted to be right there. And I would put that in my memory if I'm any of these guys or any of the spotters of, you know, if you can put yourself in the perfect position. It seemed like John Hunter being in second was maybe in the best position.
And you just have to go execute. I mean, he was in a great spot, and he did a perfect job of getting that win.
Coming to pit road for stops, and we'll go downstairs. We'll begin with Jamie Howe. She's awaiting the 13 of Johnny Sauter.
And Johnny Sauter took the blame to his team for not making that move. He said, "I'm sorry, guys. I just didn't get it this time. This will be a 4-tire and fuel pit stop. I didn't take any the last time." Up pit road, John Hunter Nemechek, very similar stop for him. After he got to the lead to get those stage points, the road to him was nice job. That's some studying. Regan.
Two truck of Sheldon Creed, a great recovery for him. The back of that truck still sliding around too much. He needs the rear tires to grip a little bit better. Chandler Smith, biggest question mark he's got is what he could have done different at the end of that stage. He's been asking his spotter, Chris Lambert, what he can do, thinking ahead to the end of the race. 4 tires for both these trucks and a couple of slow stops.
Yeah, all kinds of different strategies. Guys taking no tires, 4 tires. Some people didn't even pit, Vince, because they pitted on that last caution.
Well, we've talked about the fact that there are a lot of different strategy options here at Daytona, and you see John Hunter Nemechek in his pit stop. The one thing you do want to do when you come to pit road is get your work done quickly, and the right front was a big issue.
Yeah, that tire is just not drooping out. We see that a lot in the truck series because of the suspension, the shocks, everything they run. It takes a long time for that front tire to fall down enough in the fender well that they can pull it off.
Getting ready for the final stage here in Daytona. Let's check in with the studio in Charlotte.
Thank you, Vince. All right, so it's been very exciting already, to say the least, in the season opener in Daytona. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Matt Crafton. Todd, level of concern for our past champion, one of the past champions in the field, with all the issues he's had.
Yeah, you know, it's not in the panic area, but it's on the high side of concern for sure. You know, it's not like Matt to make mistakes, and he made 2 of them under the same caution. First, he got in the back of Timothy Peters coming into pit road. You got to leave some space, guys. You can't be up on those guys. And then coming in to fix that damage, he pitted outside the box. That's the big mistake because it cost him a lap. But luckily, he was the only truck 1 lap down. Got that free pass, back on the lead lap now.
What did we talk about in the pre-race show? 21st time could be the charm for him to get a victory. What do you think?
Not looking good right now.
Not looking too good. Okay, what else has caught your eye, Larry?
Well, mistakes on pit road. Sheldon Creed, our champion, qualified on the outside of the front row, right up near the front on that first pit stop at the end of stage 1. Busted for speeding on pit road, but he has overcome his issue. He fought back to get a top 5 finish right there, so they're back in the game with that 2 truck.
What else has kind of caught your eye as well through these first 2 stages? And John Hunter, what about?
John Hunter's been running good, but I'm going to tell you what, I really like what Haley's doing.
Okay. Yeah.
She got to the bottom of the racetrack. She's feeling the truck out. It's moved around. Had one good save off of 2, but everything got sideways on her. So I'm really liking what she's doing, just trying to learn, get her feet wet.
Yeah, and the driver that won Talladega last fall, Rafael Lessard, he actually won stage 1. But I agree about John Hunter Nemechek. He told us in the pre-race, I'm here to win races. I'm here to show that someone other than Kyle Busch can win in a Kyle Busch Motorsports. And he's making a statement. A little bit of an issue right there, like Jamie McMurray pointed out on pit road. Don't know that that was anybody's fault. It's just the way they've got the truck set up. We still got a lot of racing to go.
You mentioned a lot of racing to go. Do you feel like this has been traditional Daytona, what we have grown accustomed to seeing at that racetrack, or what?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we usually first 2 stages, pretty much double file. You get a little racing going on, guys trying to feel out their trucks, see what they're going to have for the end of the race. Now, things are going to start picking up here towards the end of this last stage, but one thing these guys handling starting to become an issue, Larry, on those old tires.
Well, another issue is we're just a little over an hour into the 2021 Truck Series season. Johnny Sauter has just already said the heck with all my teammates.
No surprise there. Things are certainly going to continue to be exciting. Let's send it back to the racetrack at Daytona and Vince Walsh.
Thank you very much, Caitlin, and of course Larry Mack bringing that up with about Johnny Sauter. I think Duke Thorson probably going to have a meeting with this ThorSport drivers on Monday.
And Todd Bodine said action's going to start picking up. I don't know if I can take it, Jamie. I'm already on the edge of my seat because of all the moves we're seeing made. And you know, when you can draft up, when you can get those runs, that's what makes racing a lot of fun here at Daytona.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and I'll tell you, it's hard to appreciate when you see organizations with 3 or 4 cars or trucks when they can get all the drivers to work together. It's harder to do than people realize.
Still going to have a pit stop yet to go as we get through this final stage. They'll all have to come to pit road one more time at least. The 18 of Chandler Smith coming back in to top off. They didn't think they got it full. So some of these pit crews knocking off the rust tonight as well.
Yeah, I like the strategy of some of those trucks that got tires to stop before, then they came back in and they got fuel only, because that's going to put them on the same sequence as what we think that the winning strategy is going to be. And if this runs green to the end and they have to have a green flag pit stop, you want to make sure you can pit with the mass of the trucks, because that's where all the speed's going to be.
I still think at this point, if I'm up front, I'm going to battle for those positions, but there's going to be some guys that use the strategy of laying back still because of what Todd Bodine and Larry McReynolds said. Things are going to definitely pick up. You got to miss the wreck. How you do it will be interesting to see who's got the right plan.
Well, Todd Bodine knows what he's talking about. 2-time winner here at Daytona. The only driver to win back-to-back. Grant Enfinger hopes to add his name to that list.
If I remember correctly, Todd might have made a few people mad at this track as well.
I find that hard to believe. Enfinger and Ankrum on the front row for this restart, and it's been an eventful night for Matt Crafton, as the studio discussed.
He's not in the top 10, is he?
He's already up to 6th. It's unbelievable. What a turnaround in the last 15 minutes for that team.
The final stage at Daytona. It's the season opener. And we've got plenty of racing left. Just because it's the final stage, you better believe there's going to be a ton of excitement in it. Enfinger in the 98 on the inside, Ankrum on the outside. Green at Daytona.
Your help's coming to your bumper now. Outside. 26 still help. His help half back. Now 2 rows even here.
That's David Gilliland in the 17 on the outside, row 2.
Yeah, we haven't talked about David much during this race, but great speedway racer, and he's put himself in a good position here for this final stage.
And his son Todd in the 38.
Matt Crafton sandwiched between them. Really important. If you're a truck on the bottom, you keep it tucked low.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, when you see them move up that half a truck length, Michael, it's because it's not handling the way they want. They would like to be right on that yellow line. But when you drive in, if you're a little loose, you move up just a little bit.
How about that second truck on the inside? 20-year-old Drew Dollar from Atlanta, Georgia. His first ever Truck Series start. He's right in the heat of it.
I'm going to tell you what, David Gilliland is wearing the bumper out of Tyler Ankrum's truck.
And it shot Ankrum out into the lead, but then the bottom line with Drew Dollar pushing Grant Enfinger, making a big comeback.
It's definitely getting more aggressive right now. David's hoping that he can push Ankrum out enough that they can maybe both get to the bottom if they choose, but you got to be able to, your rear bumper has to clear the front bumper of that truck in order to break that plane of and the air that kind of sucks you back.
Haley Deegan on the inside.
So cool to see her learning like she is, getting this chance to run right up front with some of these experienced veterans. And then Drew Dollar coming in here, making his first truck race. He won at Talladega. He knows how to get it done on the super speedways. But, man, he's impressive.
That's a good move, I think, by David to get to the bottom right there. You saw him push Ankrum to the front, and immediately he went down to the bottom.
David Gilliland out front, and now Enfinger right behind on his bumper. And Ankrum on the outside with Matt Crafton, and then Todd Gilliland in the blue and yellow 38.
You know, it's so interesting, Michael, because we see guys get to the lead because they're on the outside, and they immediately go to the bottom. But typically the bottom stays more organized, because when you're in that second lane, you get 5 or 6 trucks back. Somebody will make it 3 wide, and when that happens, it really slows down the momentum in that outside lane.
Well, we've got a long way to go, but wouldn't it be cool to see a little father-son battle to the finish tonight with David and Todd Gilliland?
I remember a father-son battle to the checkered here in the Daytona 500 with Bobby and Davey Allison. That was a great memory and a great victory for Bobby.
And I don't know about you guys, but the intensity level has picked up. Everybody's bump drafting just a little bit harder right now than they were earlier in the race.
And what happens, Jamie, the bump drafting certainly makes it more dicey. But then when the outside line starts side drafting, you put those two together and it's a recipe for a wreck.
Well, and right now everybody has fairly fresh tires, right? We've just pitted for the last 10 laps. So you feel more comfortable, but as those air pressures build up, as the grip starts to go away, that's when all that bump drafting and the side drafting, like you mentioned, really comes into play. And see, if you look, they've made that 3 wide. The energy in that second lane is going to go backwards now, and the inside lane is going to be the lane to be in.
Yeah, that's Moffitt, that lead truck on the outside lane. The white 45 in East Motorsports, and John Hunter Nemechek was behind him. Now Nemechek going to dip back to that middle lane.
Moffitt's been hanging in the back. This is about as far up as he's been since the start. That was sort of his plan going into this race. Talked to him earlier today. Said he's going to let it sort out a bit.
Those guys are doing a really good job of pushing on the straightaways and then getting off those trucks as they enter the corner where it starts to become really sketchy.
What about Austin Wayne Self up inside the top 10, battling in that 22 truck? You know what I want, Vince?
What, Mike?
I need a break. I want to crank it up.
Well, whatever you want, Mike. Let's do it.
Both rows a half behind both trucks behind you. Still clear truck length both ways. Bottom's quite few and pushing them down the back. He's pretty good at getting up to him. Here he's half apart. He's losing him now. He's 1 apart out front. 1. Half. 88 still corners. Still corner 88. Now just at 26. Outside room. Trucks ahead. One's starting to go away on them now up off the corners. Doing. They're half apart. Perfect. 103 here, kind of high, 10%. 10 points. Keep.
Caution is out, and again, it's the 19 of Derek Kraus.
Also the 40.
Ryan Truex.
Truex involved as well. He's got flat tires, I think. No damage, it doesn't look like.
Truex full-time with East Motorsports this season after a part-time schedule a year ago. And Kraus has some damage on the left side this time to go along with all that on the right.
It's been a long night for Derek. It looks like he cut a tire down again.
Yeah.
You know, once you get the damage, it's hard to keep all the tires clearance. You also don't know if a crush panel, something's fallen off, and then you're running over it. But that's two what appears to be left rear tires. It looks like the right rear actually is cut down this time.
Yeah, I think it got the right rear, but it wasn't significant. Well, it's pretty significant. But what all he's been through, I think he can still run on.
There you see Truex sliding through the picture.
I think he got bumped from behind, Vince.
Well, I would agree.
Yeah, and he's going to be okay. It doesn't look like he has any body damage at all from the flat. If you're going to have flat tires, it's a great place to have it because you're so close to pit road.
Nice Motorsports team taking care of business on the 40, and it's a little more repair work for the 19 of Kraus.
Kraus is going to lose a lap this time.
Too early to make that last pit stop.
Looks like Tyler Ankrum was actually the leader when the caution came out there. Must have just surged ahead of David.
Those teams that elected not to take tires on that previous pit stop, how long does it take before you really start feeling the effects of those tires?
Jamie, you were on those tires last night.
Yeah, and I think that most of these guys are on similar tires. Some of them came back and got fuel after just running a couple of green flag laps, which I don't think is going to be a big deal. We're still outside of our pit window. You know, I just tires are important, but that track position is going to be important as well. And I don't think they've run enough laps now that you would come in and put tires on.
Yeah, you don't come now, but how does the handling change in these trucks as you run with the tires, especially that group that did not put tires on the last stop?
Yeah, I mean, Michael said it. You lose grip overall, and whatever issue you're fighting, that seems to get magnified when you get in traffic and the grip starts to go away. The one thing here is that you typically fight really tight on the exit of turn 2 and turn 4, and it's important when we go to the in-car cameras and you listen to the throttle, you hear the driver start to have to roll out of the gas on the exit, and when you have to do that, then you're not able to push with the truck that's right in front of you and keep your lane moving forward. So you basically just lose overall grip, and it just feels like they have too much air pressure in them as they start to build up.
And you heard Eddie DeHaan talking to his driver Austin Hill about
he could see it
about trucks starting to lose their handle up off the corners. That's where it starts to show its head, Vince, is when you can't hug the bottom, you start drifting up the track, then you add steering wheel to it, hit a bump, and next thing you know, there goes the back end.
It's great. I love hearing Eddie say that, because as a driver, you're already questioning, like, man, my handling's going away. I wonder what other trucks have going on. And when you hear that, you're like, okay, everybody's fighting the same thing. It's not just me. And it also kind of gives you a warning of, hey, let's be aware here, because handling's going away.
Coming back for the restart. Give you some cool views. There it is. The drone doing its work. Camping World Truck Series racing from Daytona here on FS1, presented by Blue Emu. It's been an exciting race so far, as it always is at Daytona, and we are moving through this third and final stage. 44 laps to go. Some trucks and teams selected to come to pit road for a little service, some repair, and some just a gas and go.
Saw a lot of chassis adjustments too, Vince, and these teams are taking advantage of this opportunity just to top off with fuel, so it's less of a stop when they come in next time. Spend less time. And I'm guessing, Jamie, most of these trucks won't get tires. It'll just be a quick pit to gain that track position.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see anybody get tires there. It looked like, like you said, chassis adjustments, a lot of fuel only, and I like that, because if they do have to make a green flag pit stop, which if it runs green to the end, we would have to have that, they're going to spend less time on pit road, and that could be the difference of being in the A pack or in the B pack, and that's going to be critical.
And Jamie, you're an expert commentator. Give me your percentages on us not having enough caution. Where do you think that would fall?
I would put it between 0 and 1, Michael, percent.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
If Derek Kraus stays out there, I know we're going to have another caution.
Yeah, but Jamie on John Hunter.
Well, John Hunter Nemechek was one of the trucks that made that call to pit lane for what was going to be a quick fuel stop. However, they did have an issue, and they had to get another can out. See him dropping below the double yellow line now. So looks like he's going to have to come back to pit lane, Regan.
Well, Jamie and Michael in the booth, you guys, and it pains me to say this, are very, very smart. That is exactly what the one truck of Haley Dillon was trying to do. They wanted to get her set up for the end of this race, make that pit stop shorter. But they were also concerned about what was going to take place with her being around that 10th to 11th spot. They didn't want her in the middle of that hornet's nest just yet.
And Regan, I love that. I mean, she's learned so much. She's been right up front. Let's continue the learning process and get to the checkered flag. If it means falling back here and running a few laps, there's still a long way to go in this race. I think that's great strategy by that team. I talked about Brett Moffitt. He's been using that strategy all night long. He's currently running in the 14th position. Hasn't really been a factor, but I look for him to push toward the front as the laps wind down.
Long way to go, and as Jamie McMurray said, likely to have at least another caution.
We got father and son, first and third. This will be fun to watch.
That's got to be a great feeling.
That's got to be so cool for David and for Todd, yeah.
It'd probably be cooler for Todd if he was in front.
For sure for Todd it would be, yeah.
The 88 team of Matt Crafton, we're alerted, has been penalized for having a crew member over the wall too soon. Been a tough night on pit road for the 88 of Crafton.
There goes crew chief's Junior Joyner's blood pressure again. I don't think he can handle much more.
His eyes are about to come out of his head on that first one.
Todd Gilliland telling me this weekend they really were encouraged by the crew that they brought back from a year ago, the gains that they felt like they made in the offseason. Said we always felt last year like we needed one more step, and we feel like in the offseason we've been able to take that step. We'll see if they can make it pay off tonight in this final stage.
Son was pretty aggressive on Dad's bumper, wasn't he?
Dad made a point. You stay with me.
Zane Smith, third in line on the inside in that orange 21. Right behind the Gillilands.
You got to be careful not
so aggressive on the restarts right here, trying to get out into the front.
Got to be careful not to lock those bumpers. NASCAR will watch that closely. You can bump, but you can't push.
And that is a stop-and-go penalty, and a lot of times it's not just the guy pushing, but the
pushy
driver in front getting pushed as well, often getting penalized.
Yeah, and that's frustrating as a driver because the hardest part is to get locked on. That's where you see all the movement on the truck in front. Once you get locked on, it's not too bad. So once you get tied together, you want to stay on, but you can't. You got to, kind of be graceful with that and just tap down the straightaway and not stay locked together for too long.
On that outside line, it's Infinger in the 98, then Drew Dollar, followed by the 16 of Austin Hill.
It's an art, too, isn't it, Jamie? Bumping that truck along.
Oh, that 38 keeps moving up, Michael. It looks like he's really struggling with the handle of that truck.
Oh, that's a cool view.
I'm telling you, it's so cool to see that view and how much the trucks are moving back and forth when they change lanes.
On board with Infinger, the Gillilands there to his left. David Gilliland in the 17, Todd Gilliland in the 38.
We've talked about teammates and sticking together and trying to work together, but I'm feeling like that father-son bond is probably going to be a little better than any teammate we have.
Oh, and that's the 3 of Jordan Anderson that has gone around. Contact with the wall, and the 22 of Austin Wayne Self involved.
Strong run for Self. I don't think it'll do either one of these two in. Look like they're going to get away with that.
Jordan Anderson finished second here a year ago. Anderson running full-time in the Xfinity Series this season as his program steps up. To go, and there's a look at some damage to Jason White's truck as well.
That's Canada's Jason White.
Yep.
Virginia's Jason White will be racing tomorrow in the Xfinity race, he hopes.
Now we're getting close on.
Oh, is that a bump draft gone bad there, Jamie? Looks
I'm
like
gonna have to have another angle of that. I couldn't tell what happened.
Friesen was involved in that. Surprisingly, Derek Kraus wasn't.
He's gone to the garage.
He's taking a break.
has gone to the garage.
He's taking a break.
Sheldon Creed was back there as well, jamming on the brakes. In fact, there's Creed right there.
He'll have to come get his tires. That was a lot of smoke. I bet he flat spotted his tires. That'll force his hand on strategy. But I don't, you know,
where he's at, I don't think that's a concern. If you get that fresh tires.
Yeah,
you know, so
I like that right now. See the back of the 17 truck, that flap? That's been up the whole time. Sometimes NASCAR looks at that as an advantage. Even under green, it's been up. I don't know if they're going to make them repair that.
Typically, just give that a shove and it'll come right back down, but as Mike said during green flag action, NASCAR wants that laying flat.
Well, maybe he can pull up to the pace car and see if that guy can reach back there.
Yeah, or his son.
Reach out the window and give it a little push. I'd like to see that.
Why couldn't his son do it?
Unbuckle and lean out the window. I don't think that's going to happen either.
No.
Jordan Anderson on and off of pit road. Looks like he's going to be able to continue the battle.
You know, I just can't say it enough how I think what a cool story it is for David Gilliland and Todd Gilliland to be running 1-2 here at Daytona, and they're coming to pit road.
Yeah, I think they're coming. They're kind of outside their window, but they can make it on fuel.
Final stop of the night, I would think, for these. Jamie?
And for David Gilliland, they made the call just in case they have to come back later. It would be a shorter fuel pit stop, going to go ahead and go down 2 turns of the track bar also, as well as the fuel. Regan?
Todd Gilliland in the 38 truck. They were worried about a little bit of nose damage, so they wanted to get a chance to look at that and get the fuel right now. The 98 Grand Infigure, right now it's a pretty decent truck for him. He's been happy most of the night.
And we'd still be outside their window, what typically would be their window, but you got to figure there's going to be more cautions, and all of a sudden now you're playing into the hand of maybe we can make it.
Jamie said so.
Yeah.
We know there's going to be more cautions, and that's exactly what these teams are doing, making sure they can get there when those cautions fall.
Oh, it's just beginning, even though we're in the final stage. New tracks, new teams, and a new champ. And the 2021 NASCAR season really gets going officially in a couple of days with the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. That's Sunday, and you'll see it only on Fox.
What about Dad saying, son, I need you to give me a push? Not quite a push like that. Watch his hands inside that wheel. I mean, he's all over the steering wheel, hanging on to it, and yes. Todd Gilliland is on the gas.
Son said, hold my beer. Here I come.
That's right. There you can see the flap in that on that bed going up. The teams put it down. We'll see what happens.
And that air flap keeps the trucks, if by chance they get up in the air, from hopefully not going over.
Right. Just evacuates the air from the bed so that the trucks stay on the ground.
And you know, Vince and Michael, when you get out there and you get in that draft 2 or 3 wide, the buffeting is incredible.
Back to green at Daytona with 36 to go. That's Brian Doza in the 28. And Tyler Ankrum squeezing past him as Doza goes to the bottom, and Ankrum maybe got a bump in the back end from the 38 of Gilliland, and he's going to keep it almost contact, but was able to keep it clean.
Ankrum got lucky right there.
Yeah, and Sheldon Creed got involved as well into the 33 truck
still wrecking
of Jason White
from Canada.
And Creed suffering some damage. Could have been a lot worse.
Oh, damage for the 52. Stuart Friesen with some issues.
See if the 38 of Gilliland.
Oh, he gets hit. He hits.
Doesn't give a pop to the 26 of Ankrum here.
Yeah, he's trying to push him on through, and Ankrum's bobbing and weaving, and here comes Gilliland, I think right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that Ankrum's truck was already light in the back. It didn't look like Todd hit him very hard there, but when you're in the middle, most vulnerable, and he's so lucky right there that he didn't get collected.
Yeah, because Sheldon wasn't driving through there.
No, Sheldon slowed down, and Jason, it looked like, got into him, and they couldn't stop.
Ankrum was wasting no time on this restart.
Well,
squeezing
you can't.
past Doza, absolutely.
John Hunter off. Did a nice job of preparing for what might happen.
And there was David Gilliland.
Yeah.
Narrowly escaping as well. A lot of close calls. There certainly was some contact, but it could have been a lot worse.
Teams get a little frustrated when a back marker, a truck that hadn't been up to pace, stays out and leads the race because of what could happen. And you saw what happened.
That's what normally does happen when you get somebody that stays out that hasn't been up there most of the night.
So multiple trucks involved, but I don't know that any of them suffered damage that's going to cause them to be done for the night. Maybe certainly more significant damage to the 33 of white.
See, Jamie was right. There was another caution.
I love the way you said that.
Jamie was right again.
Got 13 trucks involved in some form of an accident so far this evening, but still no big one. How about radio from the 38?
Man, should have been more careful. I knew the nose was like that. Just so hard to push. I forgot about it.
And you had to do what you had to do. I think he turned the wheel a little bit too, trying to get back down in front of the 28. So all good.
That's just good coaching, huh?
I love the spotter. He's like, you didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Let's not worry about that. Let's move on to the next restart.
35 laps. We need you focused on what's ahead, not what was behind.
And he said it's all good. I mean,
it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
26 doesn't think so, but
probably a different story from the 26 camp.
Yeah,
Coleman Presley, the spotter for Todd Gilliland.
Michael's 100% right. I think if we could have heard some radio from Tyler Ankrum coming into that restart, they were probably frustrated that the 28 truck had stayed out right there.
Several teams taking advantage coming to pit road under this caution. Coming back for the restart at Daytona. Taking a look at the Blue Emu race summary for our Camping World Truck Series season opener here at Daytona. 32 trucks still on the lead lap, 10 different leaders.
You know what I love, Jamie? I can't pick a winner. I mean, we've seen so many trucks have the power to lead this thing. Who's going to put themselves in the right position? And is it someone like, you know, John Hunter Nemechek, who has fallen outside of the top 10? Can he rally and get back up there?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. And the one thing about Daytona is you've had some surprise winners before, and we could very well see that again tonight. I've been shocked to see, you know, John Hunter Nemechek win a stage and then kind of end up towards the back. David Gilliland, same thing. You know, we've seen this kind of cycle through, and you know, we've talked about it. The intensity level just keeps rising on all of these restarts because everybody's like, you know, the mentality is if we can just get to the front, we'll just ride till we get to 5 to go or to 2 to go. But everybody has the same plan, and it just doesn't work out for all of them.
What about these trucks? 22nd position, Zane Smith. 25th position, Tyler Ankrum. 29th position, Sheldon Creed. 3 stout GMS trucks that find themselves way behind the 8 ball right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for those guys to advance by themselves without getting some assistance because they can get to the outside to that 3rd lane. But as we've seen all night long, that 3rd lane can only get to about 5 or 6 rows back, and then it stalls out. The bottom 2 lanes have been the preferred 2 all night long.
Austin Wayne Self, you saw a moment ago, has come to a stop on pit road. Needs some assistance from the tow truck. That's why we're still under caution. Hey, across Speed Weeks and road course events, Daytona International Speedway and Fox are hosting thousands of military members and their families. NASCAR has a close partnership with VetTix, a nonprofit organization that specializes in verifying, selecting, and distributing tickets to military members and their families. I encourage you to go to vettix.org for more information. Terrific organization, and so glad that we can provide military members and their families an opportunity to enjoy some racing.
Yeah, nice night out at the races. Beautiful night here in Daytona. Nice to see the crowd in the grandstands, Vince.
How about that 18 truck? Chandler Smith, 18 years old. We've had a couple of teenagers winning the trucks here before. Kaz Gralla and Tyler Reddick, and they're both in the Daytona 500 on Sunday.
There you see the fans I was speaking of.
good turnout.
Rise up on their feet, too, for these restarts to see the action.
Todd Gilliland will start alongside Chandler Smith on the front row, and then a couple of Thor Sport teammates. Infinger in the 98, Rhodes in the 99.
Timothy Peters up in there. Haley Deegan's back in the 15th position.
2 Kyle Busch Motorsports machines in the top 5, and one of them is not John Hunter Nemechek. Green is back out. 31 left here at Daytona.
About half, tighten up behind, 2x2, right on your door. 2x2, on you shove it, nice steady wheel. Tandem with you, nice steady wheel. He's on, nice steady wheel here, 2x2.
That's Chris Lambert, the spotter of the 18 truck.
Nice steady wheel. That means no abrupt action.
Oh, you see Haley Deegan got stuck in the middle right there.
Dangerous position. David Gilliland right behind her.
Good teammate. Give her a little push.
Yeah, they get around Jordan Anderson.
You see those GMS trucks are all lined up in that outside groove on the very top, and they've been making pretty good progress right here. I just think they're going to get 4 or 5 lanes from the front guys, and it's going to stall out.
That's Anklum and Creed. Zane Smith up top in that 3rd lane.
Getting another taker, a couple of trucks looking to go on the outside.
And it looked like the Nice trucks had pulled up in front of them.
It's Brett Moffitt in the 45. And now Johnny Sauter goes to the top lane.
Big run by Johnny Sauter. Moves up in front of those guys. Trying to get that outside lane formed up. Big bump draft right there.
Roper in the 04 with a big push.
Huge shot.
Moffitt right behind him.
3 wide.
Oh, and Moffitt's looking to make it 4. Oh, that is not good. There's 4 wide. I knew it would happen.
Truck's not stable, and that's going to send Gilliland around, and big wreck.
That is
big damage to Gilliland and Stuart Friesen.
I mean, that's just 4 wide, Jamie.
Tate Fogelman in the 12 took big damage there as well. Oh, what a tough finish for for Todd Gilliland.
Vince, I've been 4 wide at Daytona before, but it was an accident. You know,
that was an accident.
Yeah, so was that.
That resulted in an accident, but they were pushing to be 4 wide on purpose.
And on that 12 truck of Fogelman, the decal of Mark Huff. And so many of us in the racing community, heavy hearts this week after Huff's passing last week. The GM at CR7, Cody Robaugh's team, and so well known and liked in the garage. And
you see, Todd Gilliland was kind of indecisive there. He didn't go to the 2nd lane, and he didn't go up and block that outside lane, and that's what put them 4 wide. You get in that position and you're waiting on your spotter to clear you one way or the other, and if the spotter's not 100% sure, you get stuck there, and that's what resulted in getting 4 wide, and there's just not enough room. I mean, you said it, Michael. Talladega, we can run 4 wide, and it's hairy, but you can do it. It's just really hard to do here at Daytona.
And it looked like Matt Crafton lost the nose of his truck. It looked like he pushed up.
Well, he's missing a fender.
Yeah, so watch right here. Gilliland's okay, maybe. Oh, it
looked like he had a little help from behind, actually, that shot him up.
That'll make you lose the front end of your truck.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Only 3 vehicles took significant damage. I think Lassard and Ankrum maybe banged doors, but no real damage for either one of them.
I saw Moffitt bounce off the outside wall, too, so it'll be interesting to see how much damage he has.
But if you think about it, Todd Gilliland was leading at the start-finish line here, and to only get 3 trucks involved in that when he was one of them, that's pretty incredible.
Stuart Friesen pinned up against the wall, so
he's frustrated.
Squeeze outside the window. And now, good to see Todd Gilliland climbing from the 38. Yep.
We feel you.
It's Daytona. He can turn on you that quickly.
His expression said it all.
Yeah, Friesen putting the fist in the roof of his truck, the expression of the crew member.
The 38 of Gilliland getting a little help from the 88 of Crafton. Collecting a couple others in the process. Back at Daytona, good look from above with a Goodyear blimp and a good shot of the road course. They'll be on next Friday night for the Truck Series, the Camping World Trucks. And, well, they're maybe getting a little practice under caution here with the
we've added a new
left
chicane.
and then right.
Yeah.
And back left.
We about got everything cleaned up, but very adventurous race so far for most of these competitors.
And here's why we're under yellow. Keep an eye on that neon 88.
And watch, because some contact, I believe, from maybe John Hunter. Does that knock him up?
Yeah, you see John Hunter's like trying to turn down underneath Matt Crafton, and Crafton had checked up a little bit, so he didn't get into Todd Gilliland, and they all collided.
That was Zane Smith. And Rafael Lassard actually went door to door. Not too heavy a damage there.
Saw Moffitt bounce off the wall in this wreck, but I haven't seen him come to pit road yet. See right there, Moffitt.
Yep.
Maybe just minor damage.
Yeah, it didn't look like he hit that hard.
Right.
I didn't see any tire marks after he hit the wall.
Heartbreaker for Todd Gilliland in that 38, and Stuart Friesen as well. Of course, Tate Fogelman in the 12.
Look at the destruction. This is what happens when things go wrong at 180 miles an hour.
Michael, I don't know about you, but I always shut my eyes right here. Like, I didn't ever want to see all those sparks and everything that was happening.
Thank goodness our camera guys aren't shutting their eyes when all that's going on and missing these great shots.
They're
terrific work, guys.
They're awesome. The pictures and the sounds Fox Sports brings the NASCAR fans. This is incredible.
Just about got it all cleaned up to go back green when we return. Bassmasters Elite tomorrow morning and Sunday morning as well. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here at Daytona, less than 25 to go, and gives us a chance while we're under caution to remind you that each year NASCAR begins its season during Black History Month, and we recognize the accomplishments of Black Americans in the sport, including icons like Elias Bowie, who is credited as being the first black driver to start a top-level NASCAR race, and of course NASCAR Hall of Famer Wendell Scott, the first black driver to win a NASCAR Cup Series event. Special time in our sports history. And a special point in this race with less than 25 to go. Down to the Advent Health Center with Jamie Howe.
Stuart Friesen has now been cleared from the medical center. Obvious disappointment on your face. You talked about having to keep your nose clean in order to finish this race. How difficult was that?
It was extremely difficult, extremely frustrating. It seemed like the tires were wearing out and we were losing grip. At least our truck wasn't really in the track, and we just didn't execute a smart strategy to try to survive the race. We got ourselves in a bad spot, and I piled in the back of a couple guys, and then ultimately got taken out while we were in the bee's nest there. It's unfortunate for Helmar, all our partners that have got us here. We just got to do a better job next time.
Glad you're okay.
Thank you.
That pretty much describes Daytona. When we talk about falling back, where to run in the pack, how to survive, and Stuart found himself in the middle of a mess and not happy about it.
Well, his fourth DNF in 5 races here. It's just not been kind to Stuart Friesen. Saw that speedy dry as they rolled down the backstretch.
Vince, what about 3 of our top 4 here at Daytona? It's the kid, Chandler Smith, and then the next 3 have all won here at Daytona.
Grant Enfinger, Timothy Peters, Austin Hill.
They've got to the front here with just over 20 laps to go, and Maybe that tells you their experience, their knowledge, why they do have those victories here. We'll see if it plays out.
And then back to that third row, Drew Dollar in the 51, making his first ever start here in the Camping World Truck Series, and his first start in the series, not just his first start at Daytona. And of course the 23, Chase Purdy, there in row 3 as well. First full-time season.
Bama buggies. That's fun to say.
There will be 22 to go when they come around and take the green. At what point do you really start being aggressive?
10 laps ago, it appears.
I was going to say about 25 laps ago.
When we say,
not for everybody, right?
When we say 4 wide, it's happened.
Chandler Smith lead them to green.
I just can't believe they went 4 wide with this much racing to go, but I'll see things I won't believe continue to happen here tonight.
When a 16 is really locked, he's going to have to be careful. He stays locked on too long, he's going to get in trouble.
Look at that speedy dry, just a big cloud as they go through it.
Yeah, and that stuff's going to stick to their tear-offs. It's going to make it a little more difficult for them to see. It seems like the static or whatever, that stuff just clings. If you look at all the windshields right now, really hard to see out of.
For the lead with Infinger and Chandler Smith side by side.
Pushing Chandler Smith. They're going 3 wide. Here comes Lessard on the outside with Sheldon Creed. He's been through a lot tonight.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked about teammates and kind of joked around about ThorSport, but I'll tell you, GMS has done a really good job. It seems like when one of those trucks pull out, their teammates go with them, and they're doing a really good job of trying to work together. And they're not in a good position now because they're in that outside lane trying to make it 3 wide. But if they can get enough people to go up there with them, they might be able to get up to the front. You see, Matt Crafton now is pulled up. He likes what he sees in his mirror.
Oh, and look, big block there by Infinger, but it was a little bit late. Austin Hill around the outside.
Camping World 20 to go. 3 wide at Daytona.
That is awesome. Look at that speedy drive. Matt Crafton with a big push down the back.
Haley Deegan. Contact. It had been a very solid night for Haley. She had run inside the top 10 much of the first 2 stages.
She can start that thing going, yeah. Just get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Get out of my way.
Get a look at how much damage she's got to the front end of that truck and whether she got some help that may have damaged the back end at all. But she's handled herself well tonight in her second start in the Camping World Truck Series, but her first here at Daytona.
Yeah, she got a little more damage than I thought she was going to have there, Michael. It didn't, you know, ride on in with her. It didn't look like she hit that hard, but it's a little more damage.
Pretty significant there in the front end.
You might be able to jack the front end up, drop it on a block and bend that up, maybe.
See if we can tell how it started. Oh, way in the back.
Yeah, really hard to see what happened there.
How difficult is it to see when you go through that speedy drive? I mean, from
I think
our
it's
perspective,
worse.
it looks like it's really difficult.
I think it's worse from the perspective we see here on TV, but definitely it's hard to see through that. But you got to remember, it's only 2 or 3 seconds, and you're essentially going straight. If nothing happens in front of you, see her, it has a pretty big impact she had on that inside wall.
She had an onboard camera. We get a look at how difficult it is to see. Here you go. found it to be that wasn't an issue at all.
I don't know if someone got into the back of her.
I think the trucks around her, maybe Jordan Anderson saw all the speedy dry and maybe backed out of the throttle, and she drifted up and tried to turn a left, take a left away from them.
Sorry, guys. Al just locked it up in front of me.
4.
Jeff Hensley, the crew chief for Haley Deegan, certainly a veteran crew chief, championship crew chief. You mentioned TJ Majors, her spotter. She's got a good group with her at David Gilliland Racing. Tyler Ankrum in for a stop and service as well.
There you see trouble with that right front.
Man, it's incredible how long they have to wait on that.
I was talking to one of the pit crew coaches at Joe Gibbs Racing. He said the trucks are just so difficult with the setups you mentioned, Jamie, that they run that holds that tire up in the fender. That's pretty solid stuff he's beating on.
They're probably going to have to cut that away. I don't know if he's going to be able to hit that hard enough with his...
Would they be able to jack it up and drop it on a block? Bend that front up or not?
Looks like it's pushed back as much as it is down. Give him an A for effort.
AMR safety team taking care of business. Certainly thankful for their professionalism. Getting closer to the end here at Daytona.
Oh, there's that cute guy from 12C.
Go talk to him.
Yeah, no. Plus, it's not even like he'd be into me or whatever.
Hi, you just moved in, right? I would love to tell you about all the great savings you can get for bundling your renters and car insurance with Progressive.
Oh, I was just...
Oh, Tammy, I found your retainer in the dryer.
Oh, great. The show's starting.
Come on. Just trust me. Oh, trust you, like with the dollar oysters.
I don't think those were oysters.
You survived. So, wait, we can't go that way. Watch this. I'll think we're VIP. Wow. He does think we're VIP. And backstage. Trust me now? I never doubted you. I did for a second, but it's gone now. I trust you.
The all-new Sienna. Toyota. Let's go places.
As a talking bucket of KFC, dinner time is my time to shine. Grab some piping hot chicken, young man. Much better than microwaved hot dogs, right, Dad? Eat up. I'm doing the cooking tonight. Get KFC tonight with free delivery.
I am history, home to legends and greats. I am a super speedway. I am a road course. I am both. I am not one for second guessing, twisting this season's fate into all 14 of my turns. I am hallowed ground. From the braking to the high banks, I am proud to make my return. I am the Daytona Road Course. February 19th through 21st. Tickets available now.
Hey, man. Hey. Hey.
Never liked him.
Hey, look at you. Still trying to catch me.
Buddy, I ain't got time for this. You're gonna make me late.
I am where it begins. This is what everyone dreams about. I am the Daytona 500. I am NASCAR.
Back at Daytona, aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Drive always, discover possibility. Goodyear, more driven. Hey, millions of kids nationwide are without their normal access to sports and play due to COVID-19, and that's why Fox Sports and Good Sports are restoring play through donations of brand new gear, including speed-themed fitness equipment for the boys and girls clubs of Volusia and Flagler counties. Let's go downstairs to Jamie.
Todd Gilliland now released from the Infield Care Center. You said feel like everybody just sort of ran out of racing room. What did it seem like from your seat?
Yeah, I think exactly that. I tried to block the top, and then I wasn't fast enough, and then I tried to get back to the middle. I missed that too, and then I was just middle 4 wide, and then I think everyone just ran out of room. I honestly have no idea. Someone got squirrely. It easily could have been me. So that's part of this racing. It was getting intense there. I was pushing hard. I was getting pushed hard, so I don't know. That's part of this racing. I hate it happened to us, but it felt really good to have my speed go forward up front, and I'm really proud of everyone at Front Row Motorsports. It's 2 years in a row we've been kind of up at the front at near the right time. Definitely not close enough to the end, but like I said, just can't thank Speedco, Ford, Bob Jenkins is here, my truck owner, so can't wait to get to the next one.
Intense is a good word to describe it. Thank you.
Well, tough break for Todd Gilliland, certainly. The 21 truck is Zane Smith. We need to update him right quick. That truck has been a handful all night long. Very, very loose. They're finally starting to get a grip on it, but at one point, Michael, Jamie, 8 rounds down on the track bar. You do not hear that very often for a race truck.
I love their aggression on the setup. You got to get it fixed.
Yeah, you're trying to make it qualify well, and it's hard sometimes to hit the balance right. Qualifying trim to race trim. That's a huge adjustment.
Kevin Bono Mannion, the crew chief on that 21 for Zane Smith. Pace truck is off. Coming to get the green. There will be 15 to go when they cross the line. Chandler Smith and Timothy Peters leading the way.
That outside lane's way more organized right now.
Ben Rhodes giving Peters, that big shove out to the front.
We talked about Ben Rhodes' aggression, and that's what Timothy Peters wants right now. He wants him to be aggressive on that back bumper. Try to keep that lead.
Johnny Sauter in the 13. His teammate Matt Crafton there in that bright yellow 88. Grant Infinger, another Thor Sport truck just ahead. On board now with Austin Hill.
Listen to him working the throttle. Big run on the outside.
Traffic room, no third lane. 88 and the 20.
Thor Sport trucks lined up on the outside. How about Jamie on Ben Rhodes in that 99?
Ben was pretty unhappy coming into the race. He started 23rd, but he said he was going to have to be smart. They weren't going to have the chance to take a breath. They were going to have to make the moves constantly. You've seen how it's played out for him under that last caution. They said, you're driving the wheels off of the thing. Don't stop now.
Well, he's got a couple of teammates behind him. Infinger in the 98, Crafton in the 88. Timothy Peters, first one on the inside in that 25. Chandler Smith, the 18-year-old, second in line on the inside.
Yeah, and if you are Ben Rhodes on that front row, you've got 2 teammates behind you. We heard that they had a meeting. You're hoping that those guys are going to stay committed to you more than if you move down and try to get in front of Timothy Peters on the inside.
Look at that mess, Jamie, how tight you are.
There's Moffitt going around.
Moffitt was running 24th. I don't know how that could have happened. It's been a tough race for him.
Still green, and you see Infinger squeezed in the middle between Rhodes and Crafton. Had a handful, had to gather it up.
They're not going to be green long, Vince. These pushes are just too big for guys to hold on to trucks for 13 laps.
Moffitt rolling again. Remaining at Daytona in the season opener, the Camping World Trucks. Boys. Timothy Peters and Ben Rhodes in the front.
See how on edge all of those trucks are. Every time they get a little bit of a tap, you see the truck that's getting pushed get just a little bit loose.
This is Moffitt's. You saw the 45 truck on the bottom. It's his 5th race here. Been involved in a wreck, all 5 of them. And he's a champion.
Make you pull your hair out.
Daytona.
That's what makes winning so special, I guess, how hard it is. We're going to break, but you won't miss a thing. Keep it right here. Going to keep on trucking from Daytona with 11 to go.
We're taking trucks to places they've never been before, so they can be trusted like never before. By redefining quality and luxury, taking safety to new heights, earning award-winning driver appeal, and by doing what's never been done before, being named Motor Trend's Truck of the Year 3 years in a row.
Now get $6,300 in total values plus $500 bonus cash on the 2021 Ram 1500. The new Detroit style from Pizza Hut. A golden crust with crispy, cheesy edges. That's 50% more cheese baked all the way to the edge. Okay, I'm hungry. Try the new Detroit style today. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
I am a driver with a dream. And part of that dream is making all the doubters believe that my name belongs here. I may be new to some, but I am not to be taken lightly.
Oh, and now they're really going at it. Yeah, they are.
Because if you let your guard down, I will rise above. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
We are the center of everything NASCAR.
The core of the sport you love. Oh, big trouble.
From the garage at Daytona
to the champagne at Phoenix.
Yeah!
Way to go, champ.
With unprecedented access.
You got to get up on the wheel and make things happen. Expert analysis. This takes it to the next level.
And the only place where the biggest stars from behind the wheel join us behind the desk.
Get out of the way.
That's the way we do it, boys.
NASCAR Race Hub, sponsored by Wendy's. Weeknights at 6 Eastern on FS1.
I am where it begins. This is what everyone dreams about. I am the Daytona 500. I am NASCAR.
Less than 10 to go at Daytona with Grant Enfinger and Chandler Smith battling at the front. Enfinger trying to win back-to-back at Daytona.
When you saw Michael Grant Enfinger really side drafted hard on Chandler Smith, and that's when it gets really hairy for all these guys. The handling's going away, tires are hot, and all that side drafting.
Grant Enfinger in that 98 was in the championship 4 a year ago, and the team split up.
18 is
How did
loose.
Chandler Smith
Great
gather
save.
that up? Wow.
That's going to bunch the pack up because he's losing his momentum after that huge save.
I was going to say, despite going to the Final Four for Enfinger, as you watch this great save from Chandler Smith, Enfinger has to split his ride.
Oh, that's so good.
This season with Christian Eckes. And what a nice little feather in the cap it would be for Enfinger to win the season opener again under those circumstances.
At this point, I'm just kind of wanting to finish the season opener, get to that last lap, have a chance to race for the victory. Can we make it there? Uh-oh, something's happening to the 98.
It looks like the 98. Is he blowing up?
It looks like the engine's still running fine. Maybe he's just got a little oil leak.
I don't like that up front.
When Matt Crafton, his teammate, got to see it.
What a
slow down at all.
What a great push by Crafton that was.
Wow.
It's only doing it in the corners. It looks like it gets way worse in the corner.
You think maybe he got
now
bumped?
Crafton is slowed and has dropped back several spots.
Timothy Peters hops up behind Ben Rhodes and gives a nice push. Now the 18 smoking too.
Wow, Enfinger hanging on to this one despite some smoke. And now Chandler Smith has gone around. He was up fighting for the lead. Gathers it up without hitting anything, but
yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a caution.
Green is still out.
Stay green here.
Still racing, and now they're crashing. Timothy Peters involved. Tyler Ankrum has taken a big hit. Wow. John Hunter Nemechek. Several contenders. Heck, Timothy Peters and Chandler Smith had just been fighting for the lead. Johnny Sauter has taken some damage as well. A big hit from Tyler Ankrum, and there's Timothy Peters. The damage done to that 25 Rackley Chevrolet.
There you see Tyler Ankrum getting himself ready to get out of the truck. Austin Hill, winner here.
Yep. You've got to get to the end, and that's the toughest part. Getting to the end, the toughest part, right?
Might be the best spin Chandler Smith has ever taken. He spun himself out of that pack, down on the bottom of the apron.
He's going to get tires and be in a pretty good position.
He's going to come get him some tires and be a part of this battle.
Carson Hocevar.
How many trucks were involved in that one? Must have been about all of them.
Glad to see Ankrum giving the nod that he's okay and walking away.
Very talented young racer.
Get into the ambulance for the trip to the Advent Healthcare Center.
It's going to be busy over there.
Saw Lassard and the damage he took on. And there's Chandler Smith.
With an opportune spin at Daytona. You don't say that very often.
So watch up front. Contact right there.
That was another case, Jamie, of catching that apron, and it just bounced the 18 up the hill, and that's where that smoke came from.
Yeah, and so the thing is, when the truck travels, when it gets to the corner, that's why it's filling the cockpit up with smoke.
Oh, Timothy Peters trying to get in a hole that's not there.
Yeah, Drew Dollar in the 51 didn't have anywhere to go.
No, that was not Drew Dollar's fault. To see if he survives this little conflict, and then Peters right back up into traffic. How much damage does Johnny Sauter get?
Clip Sauter there in the left rear.
Carson Hocevar.
A lot of innocent victims.
You know, we hear it all the time. When you want to make a move, you just have to be so aggressive. Because if you ease down like you see Timothy Peters there, that gap gets filled up, and it's, you know, it's 4 laps to go right now. No one's going to give you any room or let off at this point.
That's just trying to close a hole that was already occupied.
Yeah.
Several of those drivers just had absolutely nowhere to go.
John Hunter looks like not major damage.
Now, his didn't look too bad, at least on the right side that I saw.
It's right on board with the 16 of Austin Hill, and
Tyler Ankrum's
get a look at it. Well, that's all torn up. Here's that Austin Hill on board. Look at the hands.
Gosh, it gets violent in a hurry, doesn't it, Jamie?
Yeah,
you hear that?
I saw a different replay from Austin, and he barely got clipped in the right rear, and it shot him up in front of everybody.
There's nothing the 51 truck could do.
No, absolutely not.
And he does a nice job after the contact. Watch him, he keeps that truck pointed in the right direction.
See Austin Hill get turned into the wall right there.
Look at the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed and Matt Kraft, and they've been involved in about everything tonight, but just keep on making their way through the messes.
Ankrum's just along for the ride there, isn't he?
Oh, no doubt. He's no brakes. The left front's all locked up.
The landscaping crew going to have a little extra work to do. Look at that.
Here comes John Hunter sliding in.
He's going to have to come in and get a tire on that.
He's on pit road, Regan.
Well, there was a lot of debate when this caution first came out if they were going to pit with the 98 at Grant Enfinger or not. Ultimately, they didn't have a choice. You see the flat tire right there. Grant said he didn't think it was going to hold up. He could smell it inside of the truck as he was out there on the racetrack. Tough break for him, but still some more laps to go.
Well, I mean, tough break, but he's lucky, because if that goes flat at speed, we've seen that a couple of times tonight. You just can't hang on to it when you lose the left rear.
And from what we've seen, Vince, the way they're pushing and shoving, we could be also talking about a little bit of NASCAR overtime. Would you, Jamie, let me go to you. the expert on the numbers and the odds. What do you think the chances?
I think the odds are probably pretty good, Michael. What do you think?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Still got a little work to do on that 98. We thought initially maybe he was blowing up. Good news for him. That was not the case. Had the rub and then eventually the flat tire as you look at those involved in that accident. And there's the 4 truck of John Hunter Nemechek with some big hitters. Some guys that had some high hopes and have been running up front tonight in that list.
Yeah, Drew Dollar came out the best on that deal right at the start of it, but he's currently 7th. Oh, there it is.
NASCAR overtime, and you see it. It's a 2-lap shootout, but it can be a lot longer than 2 laps. You're going to take the green, and if you make it all the way back around and get the white, well, the next flag, whether it's the checkers or the caution, will end the race. But if the caution comes out before they take the white flag, we'll re-rack them and do it again. NASCAR overtime. And Ben Rhodes is in the front, Jamie.
And the conversation with the spotter, TJ Bell, right now getting pretty interesting. When they go back to green, Ben Rhodes would like to take the high side, but they're saying, no, you've got to go to the bottom. You've got to get that push from your teammate. They're talking about Matt Crafton, who, despite all the issues he's had, is still in this. So they're thinking about this green-white checker scenario and how to get the best push.
Matt Crafton, we talked about the fact that he's a 3-time champion, and he had victory in sight here just a few years ago and had it taken away on the last lap, and finds himself, he's raced into a position after a mistake on pit road, being a lap down, persevering, and now finds himself in a position to try to win this race.
And he's right next to the champion in that 2 truck, Sheldon Creed.
He's been in a few messes himself tonight, hasn't he, Vince?
Sure too. And David Gilliland back up there in the front. He had been up in the front much of the night and then had to come back through the field after a series of pit stops, and right there he is.
You know, we've talked about side drafting a lot tonight, Michael, but at this point, when we get to turns 1 and 2, David Gilliland is going to be all over the side of Ben Rhodes' truck.
And you know, he was involved in an accident or a skirmish, and he put on fresh tires. I don't know how much difference that'll make, but it can't hurt, especially when you talk about the side drafting and the pushing, Jamie.
Be a little more aggressive.
He has the tires to go do the job. Will he get the push to complete the job with?
Well, Sheldon has a super fast truck, and he's been able to push really well all night long. So I kind of like the position David Gilliland's in. I would rather be on the bottom because I feel like it's a little bit of a safer place to be for Ben Rhodes, especially having a teammate behind you. But the 2 trucks fast, and you're going to see them lock bumpers right here, and it's going to be about the side draft and just who gets that best run at the right time.
And how about the 04 and the 02? Corey Roper and Chris Wright. Chris making his first Daytona start. The 9 of Cody Robaugh is right there. And
Jordan Anderson in the top 10. Austin Wayne Self with a damaged truck up there.
Jordan Anderson 2nd last year. Cody Robaugh, we saw there in that 9 truck, was 3rd. Both career best finishes for those drivers.
All we need is an action-packed 2 laps.
Overtime in the series opener at Daytona. Ben Rhodes and David Gilliland.
Nice push by Crafton. I like the way Crafton just maybe had just a bit of spacing.
A little more gentle when he hit. Sheldon hit David so hard that he pushed him out, but he's locked onto him right now. Ben Rhodes has got out front. He's probably going to try to block both lanes if he needs to.
This is not great for Ben Rhodes, other than in fact he's got Matt Crafton, his teammate, behind him.
Creed jumps to the outside. Gilliland getting hung out in the middle. Corey Roper getting a shove.
Big push from that 404 truck.
Here comes Chris Wright in the 02. Look at the big push he gives to Sheldon Creed.
Rhodes jumps up front to block Creed, and now back to the bottom.
Yeah, great move there by Ben Rhodes to move up and kind of stall out the 2. But I'm telling you, the 04 truck is pushing Sheldon Creed. Look at that.
White flag.
Huge
1 to go. Creed up top, and there was some contact in the wall by Roper, and now Roper goes to the bottom.
Good move.
Corey Roper to the front. Crafton giving his teammate Ben Rhodes a little shove. Can they get past the 0-4 of Corey Roper? Contact in the 22 of Austin Wayne, Self going around. We stay green on the final lap at Daytona.
Ben Rhodes is backed up. He's going to get a little bit of a run right here on him. Here comes his teammate.
The Texan trying to hold on, 43 years old. Oh, big crash, and Ben Rhodes going around the outside and across the line.
Jordan Anderson with the huge run.
But it's Ben Rhodes, the winner. Wow.
That's crazy what happens on the last lap here.
Yes, Vince. Wow. We talked about how aggressive that young man was in the draft, how hard he pushed, put himself in the right position.
Corey Roper did a heck of a job, though, Michael. You look at the push he gave Sheldon Creed, and then to get to the lead on the last lap, Ben Rhodes just had a huge run off turn 4.
Richard Lucius, the crew chief of Ben Rhodes, with his first win as a crew chief in his first race. He had been the truck chief for Johnny Sauter and takes over the crew chief role and gets the win.
You just can't describe what it's like to win at Daytona. And I think his emotion gives you an idea of what it feels like.
Yeah, and I love getting to see the team and how excited they are. And when you're the driver and you're out there, you know this, Michael, you can't wait to get in so you can celebrate with all of them, because that's your team, and they're kind of having this moment. You want to do your burnout, get the flag, and then you want to get over there and you want to high-five everybody and talk about it.
Good to see drivers moving around and climbing from their trucks. We've seen all the drivers either get out of their truck or put the window net down and move around. Ben Rhodes starting off the season with a win at Daytona. How about it for the 23-year-old from Louisville, Kentucky? Won last year at Darlington, one of the storied racetracks, and then getting it done tonight at Daytona.
In dramatic fashion, Jamie, we talked at the opening of the show, we don't know who's going to win this race till they come off turn 4, and that certainly was the case.
Bombardier coming on board as a sponsor. That was announced just earlier today. I'd say that was pretty good timing.
Smart move there. There's a bunch of trucks, Jamie, that are sitting in smoking heaps. The winner being one of them, but his was on purpose, doing those burnouts. There's the other end of the carnage of the last lap, loading into the ambulance to go to the hospital. Look like everybody's okay, though. Everybody's out of their trucks and under their own power.
Let's hear from the winner.
Ben Rhodes. One of the most exciting last laps we have seen in a long time. Talk me through the final lap of that race and how you ended up here with the checker flag.
I don't even know, man. I got to give such a big thank you to my team. This is so special. Biggest win of my career. I can't even believe this. You know, as a driver, you're always asked about what your biggest accomplishment is. This is it. This is hands down it. This is the place to be. I can't even believe it. We got Bombardier on the truck. We came back to Toyota and we won, and our first race was in the Thor Sport. I can't thank Duke and Rhonda Thorson enough for this opportunity. This is special.
This is Daytona. You do realize it is Daytona.
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to soak it up for as long as I can. That last Darlington win went by too fast, and you just don't know when you're going to get it again. But I'm going to enjoy this night. Best night of my life right here.
The last lap coming down to get to the start-finish line here. Talk me through the move that you were making and what happened and what you were thinking.
That actually started out the end of the second stage. I got set up for the same move, and I said, I'm going to log that in my memory bank. I came up short on that checker flag, but I was going to make sure that I didn't come up short on this one. So we just tried to time it right. Thank goodness I had my Menards teammate, Matt Crafton, behind me, because he's a stud. He's a stud. He's been around for a long time. He knows what he's doing, and you see the help he gave me there. He blocks it. This wouldn't have been possible without Matt Crafton, and I owe him a huge thank you.
We saw you back up to get to Crafton just a little bit there. Was that calculated on your part?
That was what the race-winning move, I think. Jordan Anderson, too. Hats off to him, man. 2 races in a row at this place. He's been in contention to win, so congrats to him on a 2nd place.
All right, congratulations. Ben Rhodes, winner at Daytona.
You know, we said at the beginning of the night that for one driver, this was going to be a trip to victory lane he'd never forget. And tonight that honor, tonight that honor belongs to Ben Rhodes. The golden hour is next. More to come from Daytona. Stay with us. Back at Daytona where Ben Rhodes has won, but watch Jordan Anderson in the middle of this circle here in the 3 truck.
There's a couple of superstars on this last lap, Vince. Jordan Anderson is 11th when they come across the start-finish line for this last lap. Cody Roper with the huge run, the job that he did. But watch what Jordan does. He's still losing spots.
Still in the middle. Eventually he'll get to the bottom.
Ben Rhodes mentioned he'd finished 2nd here a year ago. Did Jordan Anderson?
There is the move as he gets down to the bottom.
Had to spin a guy out of the way.
Yeah, that's what got Austin Wayne Self going the other direction.
I'm just going to need to get over to the left a bit. Sorry.
Excuse me.
But watch this move.
Well, Crafton really gave himself up there for the block of the 21. And Jordan Anderson, I'll tell you, Mike, if they'd had another 10 feet, he might have won this thing.
You got that right. Look at how fast he was going. Great move by Jordan. Ben Rhodes, Roper.
Corey Roper, when they came around, I thought Corey Roper was going to win the race.
I did too. I thought he made a great decision. Initially, I thought he was just going to push Sheldon Creed for that whole last lap, but when he ducked to the inside and then everybody lined up behind him, I thought he was going to be hard to beat.
What about Carson Hocevar? He comes across in the 5th position in that 42 truck. And he'd been in 2 or 3 wrecks.
Yep, Ryan Truex, we haven't talked much about tonight. He just bided his time, and he ends up with a top 5 finish. Well done.
What a crazy last lap. That's fun to watch.
Let's ride with the 98 of Grant Enfinger.
I'm not a big fan of watching all the trucks wreck, but it is fun to watch all the moves that they're made, and Jordan Anderson coming from 11th or 12th. I'm telling you, I thought this was the truck that was going to win. He had such a massive run, but then he gets clipped right there by Chandler Smith. And
he hasn't lifted yet, though.
He hasn't, because he can see the finish line. I think we've all done that at some point.
2 years in a row, Jordan Anderson's been the runner-up. He's with Jamie.
I'm going to put some of these big moments into perspective for Jordan Anderson as he was just watching our replays. If you look over his right shoulder, back in 1999 when he was just 8 years old, he came and he watched this race with his dad. What would you go back and tell your 8-year-old self about that last lap that just unfolded?
Never give up. Never give up. And I know I got my mask on, but I'm still smiling. Truck night in America. I need to go back to Chevrolet, see if we can make these Silverados a little bit longer. 2 years in a row to finish 2nd here. Jamie, it's a dream come true. For everybody that supported this program, we had Swan Security, a new sponsor, Bomreed Automotive Group, John Bomreed and all of them are up in the suites watching, Chuck Wallace, everybody from St. Louis. Back in December, we decided that we wanted to start an Xfinity team up, and we were literally this close to shutting down our truck program, and Bruce Cook and I got started talking, and Bruce was looking for do something, and I said, let's just keep this truck program going, and I got to try to qualify in tomorrow with our Xfinity program, number 31. It's, I'm gonna go back. I know you guys gave me a hard time. Hey, Mark Smith, I'm gonna probably give too long of an interview again. I'm almost speechless. This is so much energy, so much emotion to see what God has done in my life and my career. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be racing in a national series. Coming from Columbia, South Carolina, nobody in my family raced. My dad's here with me. To go through all that we've gone through, to never give up. You asked me earlier today, what would I say is my story? And it's for every kid that races late models, legend cars, dirt late models out there, never give up. If you want to be here, just keep digging. I've got so many people to thank. You guys would probably start playing the exit music on me, but just so amazing to be here. We were like 12th on the final lap, and I got to apologize to Austin Wayne Self, my now brother-in-law, but I got engaged to my girlfriend, Kendall McReynolds. She's watching at home. Going Xfinity racing, 2nd at Daytona. Let's go!
Nice job, Jordan.
Thank you, guys.
And, of course, he mentioned Kendall McReynolds. That's the daughter of our own Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, and think about Jordan Anderson. We followed his career talking about perseverance. Remember, he used to drive his tractor trailer. Well, he had just an open trailer. He would drive to the races and drive all the way to the races and get there and then drive the truck in the races. He never has given up. He's gotten sponsors. He's gotten himself in a great position.
By far the best interview of the night. Great message he delivered to everybody, and based on how much he talked, I don't know that Kendall gets to say anything at dinner.
That's the man of the night, though, Ben Rhodes. The perfect place to end your night when you're a race car driver. Victory Lane at Daytona. Ben Rhodes with the win tonight, and hope you enjoyed it along with Michael Waltrip and Jamie McMurray. 36 trucks started tonight. Only 6 were not involved in an accident of some sort. But Ben Rhodes, we said it, you got to survive, and he did.
Oh, he was awesome. What a great last lap. But I had to think about Roper. What was he like inside that truck on the last lap? Oh, I mean, he was just hauling, going so fast, Jamie. It was so cool to watch the last lap.
Well, and we started the show talking about what it means to win at Daytona. And when Regan Smith acknowledged to Ben Rhodes that he just won at Daytona, you could almost see the emotion take him over. So cool moment for him.
Yeah, well, it was a fun night, that's for sure. Thanks to Regan Smith and Jamie Howe, Jamie McMurray, Michael Waltrip. I'm Vince Welch. Thanks for being with us. More coming up from our studio gang in Charlotte, led by Caitlin Vincey, after this break. Stay with us.
Thank you, Vince, and great job by all of you out at the racetrack. And great job by this young man getting the big victory out in Daytona. Ben Rhodes' 4th career win and his first at Daytona, which is incredibly exciting for him. Here are the highlights, guys. Todd Bodine, Larry McReynolds with me also in the studio. What did you see from this closing lap in Daytona?
Another crazy truck finish. This is what the Truck Series is about. These guys racing hard, going for the win. And coming off of turn 4, who was going to win? We had no idea at this point.
I wasn't sure we were going to have any trucks left to make it to the start-finish line because to me it looked like no giving and everyone trying to take right there.
Absolutely. This was very exciting. But, you know, Ben Rhodes, he was on the good receiving end of this, and this is huge for him, right, guys?
Yeah, he didn't lock into the playoffs last year until almost the end of the regular season, all the way down to the Darlington race.
Yeah, I'm really happy for his new crew chief, first-time crew chief, Rich Luscious. Rich was my car chief when I was up at the Thorpesport races, so great guy. Good job, Rich.
Very good efforts by Ben Rhodes. As you mentioned, he's a Daytona winner, and he's now locked into the playoffs. Life is good for him and that team right now. Well, the truck race is complete, but we have a full slate of racing action for you guys throughout the next couple of days with ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup Series, of course, as well. For the Daytona 500, it's going to be exciting. The Golden Hour, it's coming your way next. Stay with us right here on FS1.